May I request the audience to kindly settle down, please? A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is with extreme pleasure that I welcome all of you here to witness and participate in a very distinctive event that is sure to leave an imprint on most of us. May I request distinguished guests to kindly honor the dais. May I request the chief guest, Ms. Koshia, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Malini Shankar, Commodore Joshi, our Controller of Examinations, our Registrar, Shri Saravanan. Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, invited dignitaries off the dais, faculty colleagues, officers, staff, and my dear young learners assembled here. It's a privilege to extend a very warm welcome to this wonderful gathering. It is with much pleasure that I heartily welcome the chief guest, Ms. Michaela Kuschler, the German Consul General Chennai, who has graciously accepted our invitation to chair this event. Welcome to WiSTEMM, ma'am. May I extend a very warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Malini Shankar, who is an exemplary leader and is leading our university to commendable heights. Welcome, ma'am. I extend a very hearty welcome to our Registrar, Shri K. Saravanan, who has always been a pillar of support in all our endeavors. A warm welcome, sir. It is a pleasure to welcome the campus director, who is also the host here, Rear Admiral Amit Bosti. I must say he has constantly been, behind us for everything we do, and is a constant pillar of support. Welcome, sir. It is also a pleasure to welcome each speaker of the two panels who have graced this occasion here today. I have a lot to say about them, which will be coming in later, but it's a pleasure to welcome each of you, madams, Dr. Purnima Jalihal, Dr. K.G. Sri Jalakshmi, Dr. Manju S. Nair, Ms. Madhuram Dasgupta Sinha, Captain Radhika Menon, Mrs. Sunitha Bala, Ms. Rupali Joshi, and Lieutenant Commander Beena Jain. Needless to say, they are all stalwarts in their respective fields with a stellar list of achievements, which I shall be more than glad to spell out later in the day. I extend a warm welcome to each of you. I also extend a welcome to those who were unable to join in person but who have virtually joined us. And a special note of welcome to a few eminent guests who have joined us at the invitation of our panel. Welcome. In this context, I should say we are also lucky to have with us two smart personalities who have agreed to be the moderators. Moderators of two panel discussions, Ms. Aarthi, FICS Vice Chairman and Education Officer of ICS, and Ms. Sanjim Gupta, founding member of VISTA. A hearty welcome to both of you, ma'ams. I missed welcoming our beloved Commodore Joshi. Let me take the privilege of extending a warm welcome to our respected officer from HQ, Commodore Joshi, the dynamic controller of examinations. A very warm welcome, sir. On behalf of the organizing team, I welcome all the officers from HQ and from our campus. And I must mention that the entire event has been efficiently being coordinated under the Vice Chancellor's direction. I also welcome all my colleagues of Chennai campus and officers and staff. And the best is usually the last. I welcome all the smart young students of IMU and other campuses from HIMT and AMET who have joined us here. I must say you're lucky to be here today. A welcome to all of you. May I now move on to the agenda of the day. I request the Honorable Vice Chancellor IMU to provide us a context of this whole event by her introductory remarks. I must state here that this event, WiSTEMM, was her brilliant idea to hold this conclave of women in STEM and Maritime, coinciding with the International Women's Day, which is just a week away. This is the first of its kind. Ma'am, please.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Lekha. At the outset, I'd like to welcome our chief guest of the day, Ms. Michela Kuchler, who is the German Consul General in Chennai, and thank her for graciously accepting to grace the occasion today. And a special welcome to all the students who are here. We looked at this event as not one of those run-of-the-mill events where it is a tick mark on a paper. I'm very, very happy to see that half the hall is not just women, but also men who need to be introduced to subjects, to be sensitized to such subjects. And I'm sure that listening to the thoughts that will be shared by all the women and the men here will stand you in good stead in your profession in the future. According to the World Gender Gap Report of June 2023, which was brought out by the World Economic Forum, whose studies covered 102 countries, and this study was done continuously on these 102 countries between 2006 and 2023, the report found that it will take 123 years to reach full parity between the genders. According to the 2023 Global Gender Gap Index, no country has achieved full gender parity, although the top 9 countries have closed at least 80% of their gap. And these top countries are Iceland, Norway, Finland, New Zealand, Sweden, Germany, Nicaragua, Namibia, and Lithuania. For the 14th year running, Iceland takes the top position, closing the gender gap by 91.2%. It also continues to be the only country to have closed more than 90% of the gender gap. Southern Asia, in contrast, has achieved just 63.4% gender parity, which is the second lowest score of the 8 regions, so we know there's a lot of work to be done to cover this gap. The report also finds that women make up almost half, or 49.3% of the total employment across non-STEM occupations. But they occupy only 29.2% of all STEM workers. STEM as in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. While the percentage of female STEM graduates entering into STEM employment is increasing with every cohort, the numbers on the integration of STEM university graduates into the labor market shows that the retention of women in STEM, even 1 year after graduating, sees a significant drop. It's not as though history has not seen women making a mark. As early as 1750, we're talking about 1750, Caroline Herschel became the first female professional astronomer in the world. Her meticulously recorded observations formed the basis for the new celestial catalogue by which celestial bodies are identified even to this day. That was Caroline Herschel. We all know and we have heard about Marie Curie, who won 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different fields. We've not heard so much about Isabella Bird, whose adventures through the Rocky Mountains, which she rode on horseback 100 years ago, and she rode through Persia, Armenia, Turkey, China, and Korea, and all this led to her being elected as a fellow, albeit very reluctantly, as a fellow of the male-dominated Royal Geographical Society. Closer home, and this is where I invite your attention to these people here. How many of them do we recognize? So let's see, let's just briefly run through who they are. On the left top corner is Anandibai Gopal Rao Joshi. She lived in the period 1865 to 1887. We're talking about 150 or more years ago. She was the first Indian woman physician and the first woman to have graduated with a 2-year degree in Western medicine in the United States in the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania. And this was the first women's medical program worldwide. The next one is, I go to the extreme right. This is top right. She's Janaki Ammal, who lived between 1897 and lived right up to ripe old age of 90 in 1984. She was the first Indian scientist to have received the Padma Shri Award in 1977, and she became the Director General of the Botanical Survey of India. In 1990s, she took up botany, which was an unusual choice for women. She obtained an honors degree in botany and pursued scientific research in cytogenetics. A third person is lower left corner, Kamala Sohoni, 1912 to 1998, the first Indian woman to have bagged a PhD degree in scientific discipline. She applied to the Indian Institute of Science for a research fellowship and it was rejected. But she went on to become the first female student of the famous Professor C.V. Raman. And then she actually discovered that every cell of a plant tissue contained the enzyme cytochrome C, which was involved in the oxidation of plant cells. The fourth one is lower right corner with the glasses. She's Asima Chatterjee, 1917 to 2006, an Indian chemist who graduated from the Scottish Church College of the University of Calcutta in 1936. And her work included research on vinca alkaloids derived from the periwinkle that is known for its anti-cancer properties. Next I go to Rajeshwari Chatterjee, who is second from the left bottom. 1922 to 2010, first woman engineer from the state of Karnataka. She went to University of Michigan for masters, obtained a doctorate and came back and worked in the Indian Institute of Science where she set up a microwave research laboratory. The next one is Indra Hinduja, just second from the left on the top. She pioneered the gamete intrafallopian transfer technique, which gave the first test tube baby at KEM Hospital in 1986. I think Kalpana Chawla, most of us would recognize. She was the first astronaut of Indian origin to have forayed into space. She flew on the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1997 as a mission specialist and unfortunately perished in the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster in 2003. And the last of them I'd like to say is second from the left bottom. Now this one is very relevant to us. Dr. Aditi Pant was the first Indian woman to visit Antarctica in 1983. So she is a successful oceanographer and she studied geology and oceanography in Antarctica. So we have all these prime examples, but then we also have a Harvard University professor, unfortunately in 2005, who sadly stated that men outperform women in math and sciences due to biological differences. And this is the attitude that we are trying to break. This is the sensitization that the entire world is trying to bring in, to say that you cannot view it from a single optic. They give them opportunities and the women will come forward. Before ending, I need a couple of minutes to share a few experiences of mine when it comes to women. Can they do it? Can they not do it? Now, I was a youngster. I was in college, and I was actually learning to fly a plane. The state government gave me a scholarship to learn to fly a plane. And one fine day, the trainer came and told me that there is a fighter plane which is landing on the runway. This was way back in 1979. So pre-9/11, all this, the CISF stopping you from going anywhere was not there. So they said, we want you to go and receive the pilot and bring the pilot to the control room. I said, fine. I had no idea why I was called. So I went there. They said, there's Captain Charles who's coming. So there was an Israeli fighter plane which landed on the Chennai, Madras runway. And the pilot came out, took out the gear, shook the hair, and it was a Captain Charles lady, 1979, and what was she doing? She was flying the plane from Israel to Australia and refueling midway in Madras. This is absolutely inspiring to see somebody like that, especially because I was not told who it was. I expected a male. See, this again is a mindset. We all say, Captain Charles, go and receive its Captain Charles has to be a male. Never thought it would be a female, no? And I'm sure we have such experiences throughout our lives. The second experience I'd like to share is a colleague of mine had called me for talking to new electrical recruits. And the new electrical recruits, were actually 200 young, just 12th pass tribal women from the interior of Maharashtra. Because the electricity board had decided that they have to open it up to the women. And these were just brilliant girls, very young, very naive, very innocent, but very bold. And the institution actually, I found, not only hired them based on their 12th standard exam, but they also were sensitive enough to actually change their dress so that, and to adapt the whole equipment, because these were not, and they didn't know what to call them, because the word for that was linesmen. So do we call them lineswomen or linesmen? What do we do? And you know what their job is? That's where I'm coming to. They have to climb these transformers in the interior areas in the villages where you don't get any other help, no other equipment, and actually fix the electric wires. And in the rural areas, still today, fixing that is a challenge because you don't have any sophisticated equipment or help. And this was even, there was no mobile phones those days. So these women were going to climb up this electric poles, and there were videos shown of them climbing up and fixing it. And I thought that was a fantastic development, both in terms of the girls who got into that profession as well as the organization which encouraged them. So in my opinion, I think the women are ready. It's just that you have to give them the right environment, the nurturing environment. And I'm going to end with just one more story where a colleague of mine once said, this is a lady IAS officer whose father was an IAS officer also, okay? So her 4-year-old son has seen the mother working with files. So when the grandfather visited home and he brought his basta of files and started working, he goes and tells the grandfather, Tata, this is not your work. This is only mother's work. So it's so clear how the children get sensitized by the environment they grow up in, and it is not built into their DNA, like that Harvard professor said, and it is not built into their minds. It is just the nurturing environment. So on this day, let us all resolve to create this environment for our young girls and women to realize their potential. With these words, and once again, I welcome you, ma'am, and and thank you. I think if Sini is somewhere around, she's my deputy registrar. She is the brain behind the entire, there she is. I think she deserves a big hand, more than I do. Conceptualizing, contacting, coordinating, she's done the whole job. I hope you all enjoy this morning's event and take home a very pleasant memories and learnings of, being together to support the women. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, very much for that very, I should say, very inspiring introductory remarks that sets the tone for the day. So it's time to felicitate the chief guest of the day, Ms. Michaela Kuschler, the German Consul General, Chennai. May I request our Vice Chancellor to kindly felicitate our chief guest. Ma'am, there is a bigger, a floral welcome and a token of appreciation. Thank you, ma'ams. Miss Michaela Kushler, I would like to speak a few words about her before inviting her to speak. Ms. Kushler is a career diplomat. She joined the Federal Foreign Office in 1988. She has held various positions such as Protocol Officer in the Federal Foreign Office, Cultural Attaché in Czechoslovakia, Press Attaché in Santiago de Chile, Desk Officer for IMF and G7, again at the Federal Foreign Office, and has been a negotiator for the EU enlargement. She worked as European policy advisor for 2 federal chancellors and 3 federal presidents. Her latest posting before coming to India was Ambassador for Holocaust Remembrance and the Fight Against Anti-Semitism. Ms. Kushler speaks English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and some Czech. Her interests include walking, cycling, and skiing. So on that note, may I invite our chief guest, Ms. Michaela Kushler, German Consul General, Chennai, to deliver the presidential address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much for this very warm welcome. And I couldn't agree more with you that it is mostly about creating an environment which is favorable to show women's capabilities, and it's not about women empowerment. And I really try to avoid this term of women empowerment because it's about equal opportunities. Esteemed Vice Chancellor of MIU, Dr. Malini Shankar, dear dignitaries on and off the dais, dear panelists, dear students, dear guests, Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskar. When I was 17 years old, I was reading during math class, hidden under a table, under the desk, a feminist magazine named Emma. It was the first of its kind in Germany, which reached a broad public, and it still exists today. Of course, my math teacher noticed that I was reading during class, and he took the magazine away from me. After the class, I had a very good discussion with him about reading in class and about women in society. And I take 2 lessons from that incident. Firstly, my math marks were never above average, and a career in STEM was out of question for me and out of reach also. Secondly, my interest for feminist questions accompanied me through my whole career as a student and as a diplomat. Today, I would like to explore 2 aspects: women in STEM in Germany and India, and women in the merchant navy. Let us first delve into the numbers. The statistics reveal a stark reality. In Germany, the proportion of women in STEM professions hovered at a mere 8.9% in 2022. So that is much below the numbers you were citing from the World Economic Forum study. Despite slight increases over the years, the road to gender parity remains arduous. Contrastingly, India boasts higher female representation, signaling a beacon of hope for the global STEM community, the global women in STEM community. Indeed, India's strides in fostering gender diversities are nothing short of impressive, exemplifying a commitment to inclusivity and progress. In the year 2020, approximately 23% of employed academics in STEM sectors in Germany were female. While this marks progress, it underscores the urgent need for concerted efforts to dismantle barriers and cultivate an environment where women can thrive. Initiatives like the WISER program of the Indo-German Science and Technology Center, IGSTC, stand as a testament to our collective resolve in championing gender equality. By promoting women in science and facilitating research exchanges between India and Germany, this program fosters cross-cultural collaboration and knowledge exchange. Yet, our journey towards gender parity in STEM is far from over. It demands unwavering commitment, bold initiatives, and collaborative action. I'd like to give you an example. An academic career for a woman as a university professor is far from being a given in Germany. Only 1/3 of professors are women, though there has been a considerable increase also thanks to programs to promote female professorship. Since 2008, that is almost 20 years, German universities and colleges have had a program to promote women as professors. The program calls on universities to develop equality concepts. An independent advisory committee decides on the concepts. 108 universities submitted their equality concepts in 2023. 92 concepts were selected just a week ago, and these can now apply for start-up funding, and that is the point. They can apply for start-up funding for the initial appointment of women to professorships. I'd like to quote the German Minister for Science. She said, "We have a clear goal to attract significantly more women to science and research, and sustainably retain more female excellence in the system, and in particular increase the proportion of women in top scientific positions. In this way, we will secure the innovative capacity and future viability of Germany as a center of science." I come to my second point. I'd like to speak about women in the Navy in Germany, both in military and in merchant navy. Also here, it is my impression that India is more advanced than Germany. Since 1975, women in Germany were accepted in the medical service of the German armed forces. Only more than 20 years ago, all military careers have been open to women. Nevertheless, women make up for only 13% of the armed forces, and the target to reach is 15%, and that is not very high. 13%, we haven't even reached that. In the medical service, where the target is 50%, remember it was open till 1975, the quota is 45% of women. In the Navy, the proportion of women is 11%, which is the highest of all three branches of the armed forces. Now, let's take a look into the merchant navy. Germany is a country with a relative short coastline of roughly 2,400 kilometers. India has, if Google did not give me wrong information, 7,000 kilometers of coastline. Germany has access to the Baltic Sea and to the North Sea. Almost 25% of the global maritime transport is happening in the North Sea and makes it one of the most frequented seas worldwide. A high proportion of this transport also reaches the Baltic Sea. 2/3 of maritime transport happening in the Baltic Sea comes from or goes to ports outside the area. Despite its limited coastline, Germany hosts two of Europe's biggest ports, Hamburg, which is number 2, and Bremerhaven, which is number 6 in Europe. This is mostly the result of a strong and export-oriented German industry, which needs ports to deliver their products and to receive raw materials from the world. Now, what is the proportion of women in the merchant navy then? According to the 2021 Seafarer Workforce Report, women make up only 1.2% of seafarers worldwide. A trend reversal is underway in Germany, where the number of trainees is fortunately already higher. In 2021, the proportion of women among ship mechanic trainees was around 10%. The proportion of female trainees for nautical officers was 20% 3 years ago. The aim is to further increase this proportion. Initiatives like the International Day for Women in the Maritime Sector on 18th May, which was proclaimed for the first time by the International Maritime Organization in 2022, will help to achieve this goal and will help to sensitize about the proportion of women in the maritime sector. Ladies and gentlemen, as we convene here today, it is imperative to acknowledge the profound impact that women are making in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. We just heard some few examples. Thank you very much. I could perhaps add one. I think it's from the 11th century in Germany, a nun who was heading a monastery, Hildegard von Bingen. She excelled in medicine, and the results she found in treating illnesses and wounds are still being practiced today. So that's over 900 years of experience in medicine. In particular, the disparity in gender representation between countries like India and Germany unveils a tale of contrasting narratives, yet a shared journey towards gender equality in STEM. Germany can certainly learn here from India. Today, I urge us all to become catalysts for change and to become role models. Let us challenge the status quo, break down social stereotypes, and pave the way for a future where every young girl dares to dream of becoming a scientist, an engineer, or a technologist without limitations or constraints. Together, women and men, let us build a world where women in STEM are not the exception, but the norm. A world where innovation knows no gender and where diversity is celebrated as our greatest strength. Thank you very much. Nandri Vanakkam.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that wonderful exposition, the stats that you have spelled out, and the lot of information which I'm sure has gone down well with our audience today. With this, our brief inaugural ceremony comes to an end, and may I request the dignitaries to kindly occupy their seats off the dais. Yes, please. So now we move on to the next part of, or the major part of the day, the event, the panel discussion 1 on the topic, Life of Women in STEM. Shall I invite the panelists? So now, as the stage is being set for the panel discussion, it is with utmost pleasure that I invite each speaker of panel 1 of the day's session. May I first introduce to you Dr. Purnima Jalihal. Dr. Purnima Jalihal. Yes, ma'am. Yes. A well-known scientist at National Institute of Ocean Technology. Dr. Purnima is a senior scientist who leads the Energy and Freshwater Group in the National Institute of Ocean Technology, India. She has led device developments for harnessing ocean energy from waves, marine currents, and ocean thermal gradient, OTEC, and has played a major role in developing the ocean thermal desalination technology. So, Dr. Purnima has beg your pardon. Dr. Purnima has a PhD in civil engineering from Duke University, USA. She was awarded the Vishwakarma Medal in 2006 by the Indian National Science Academy. You can clap. And the UERA Prize for 2019 by the International OTEC community for her contributions. She is on many committees of Indian government organizations related to water and renewable energy and is the EU-led Clean Energy Mission Innovation Champion for India 2020. I think that deserves an applause too. She was felicitated in Women Behind the Changing Chennai Scenario, Future Female Forward event by CNBC TV18 in July 2023. She is also among the 21 selected women from India and Canada from the fields of science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics, STEAM as it is called, and jointly by Red Dot Foundation and in partnership with the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, and is featured in the second edition, She is Women in STEAM, in September 2022. That's a very long and impressive set of credentials, ma'am. May I invite you onto the stage, please? I call upon our registrar to kindly felicitate her. She is currently the Vice Chair of Executive Committee of the Ocean Energy Systems under the International Energy Agency, IEA. A second panelist, Professor Dr. K.G. Srijalakshmi, Professor at Indian Institute of Space and Technology from Thiruvananthapuram. Ma'am? Yes. Dr. Srija is an experienced and enthusiastic academician, cum researcher with expertise in molecular engineering. The thrust areas of research include combinatorial chemistry. Yes, I hope I got that right. Smart and functional materials for space applications, drug discovery and development, gravitational biology, and space life sciences. She has over 70 publications and has delivered over 90, nearly 100 invited talks. Dr. Srija has won many awards and has 5 patents to her credit. May I call upon Commodore Joshi, Controller of Examinations, to kindly felicitate Dr. Srija and accompany her to the dais, please. Yes, please. May I now introduce to you Dr. Manju S. Nair, Project Director, High Thrust Electric Propulsion, LPSC, ISRO. Dr. Manju S. Nair. Yes, please. So, ISRO elicits. So, Dr. Manju S. Nair has been with Liquid Propulsion Systems Center, LPSC, Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, for the last couple of decades. She is an alumnus of the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and has received her doctorate from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. She is now the project director for High Thrust Electric Propulsion System project of ISRO and responsible for ISRO's first ever 5 kV indigenous electric propulsion system, which is to be flight tested soon. That sounds very impressive. She also heads the electronics design division in LPSC, leading the activities of the development of highly efficient power control packages in electric propulsion systems, and also miniaturized control electronics for the first stage of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV. She has received an award for team excellence in the field of electric propulsion. She has also published many technical papers in international journals and holds a patent for her work in high power converters. Wonderful having you here, ma'am. She is also a Bharatanatyam dancer and a passionate yoga practitioner. May I invite our campus director, Rear Admiral Bose, to kindly accompany ma'am to the dais and felicitate Dr. Manju. Please. Thank you, sir. It is now my pleasure to introduce to the audience Ms. Madhura Dasgupta Sinha, founder and CEO of Aspire for Her, an award startup, and it's an award-winning startup. Ms. Madhura Sinha is the founder and CEO of Aspire for Her, a unique startup to motivate women to enter and stay in the workforce. After a degree in electrical engineering from Jadavpur University and an MBA from XLRI, Ms. Madhura has been a banker for the last 25 years, holding leadership positions in IDFC, Stanchart, and ANC Greenlays Bank. Ms. Madhura was one of the 12 women across India to be awarded the British Shivini Scholarship. Have I spelled it right, ma'am? Scholarship in 2003. Since its birth on Women's Day 2020, the rapidly growing community at Aspire for Her has become a movement for women in India and across the world, getting together members, supporters, and mentors to unleash the trillion-dollar potential in the Indian economy. Her work has been widely covered in the media, including CNBC, NDTV, BBC, Times of India, the New Indian Express, etc. Aspire for Her has been honored by awards from UN Women, Economic Times, T-Hub, NDTV, and International Advertising Association. Ms. Mathura was among the 23 list published by HR Association of India. She also has been an invited speaker at various prestigious forums, including IITs, IIMs, Niti Aayog, G20, UN Women, Global FinTech Forum. I have to say all this, ma'am. National Commission for Women, and many acclaimed podcasts. So Aspire for Her is proud to be part of the first ever cohort of women founders launched by Google India. That's a whopping set of accomplishments. May I request our FO, Mr. Saravanan, to kindly accompany Madam to the dais and felicitate her, please. Ma'am, please. Thank you. Show her the... Now it is time to invite a very important ingredient of this panel discussion, I would say, the moderator, Ms. Aarthi Narayan, who is a very well-known figure here in IMU. Ms. Aarthi Narayan, FICS, who is Vice Chairman and Education Officer, Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers. Ms. Aarthi Narayan is an honors graduate in law and a postgraduate in maritime law from University of Southampton. She serves as Director of ABS Marine Services Limited, a ship owning and a ship management company, and serves on the board of several organizations. So she's currently District Chairman of Inner Wheel District 323, which is actively involved in the development of marginalized. Ms. Aarthi is also a trained Bharatanatyam dancer, an accomplished Western classical dancer, and a silver bar medalist from the UK Ballroom Alliance. Wow, ma'am, that's a long list. Her versatile interests include yoga, tai chi, adventure sports, swimming, theater, and reading. It's wonderful to have so many accomplished women on board. And I hand over the session to Ms. Aarthi. Ma'am, please. May I request our campus director to kindly do the honor of welcoming Ms. Aarthi and escorting her to the dais. Now that we have all our wonderful speakers with such an eminent background here, I hand over the dais to Ms. Aarthi. We'll be getting a hand.
Hello.
Okay, so by the time we get arrangements for the microphone for the two ladies on my left, I must say good morning to all of you, and thank you so much, Malini ma'am, for inviting us here this morning and this one-of-a-kind event that you have initiated. I think we must all congratulate and applaud you, the brainchild behind this wonderful gathering of eclectic women and intellectual men, and we're going to have an insightful discussion here on life of women in STEM, and I'm going to start. I do hope the microphone comes in by then. But I'm going to start with Dr. Purnima here. So what motivated you to join this field?
Hello. So, I should be honest. Maritime is not really that known even today. And I'm really happy to see so many young women here in the audience, all in uniform. I'm really, really happy to see the numbers here today. So, but actually when I started my career, basically I wanted to be an engineer, and I did that. I went into the engineering field. I also wanted to do research, and basically an idea of wanting to do more and not just be an engineer, but as engineer with trying to discover was in the back of my mind. So I pursued a PhD in structural dynamics, and when I came back to India, basically there was a choice between joining a CSIR lab and the National Institute of Ocean Technology, and NIOT was new then. And it was felt that this has got more potential because CSR labs were already, they had matured, and there was a fair amount of stability already achieved. So though I got it in both the places as soon as I returned back from the US, I thought this will be a new adventure, doing ocean technology, entering some area which is not known. Also, my specialization of structural dynamics was needed at that time for a particular project, and there was a lot of work going on which required a person with a structural dynamics background. So I also learned ocean and offshore structures and their dynamics as I grew in the institute. So it sort of fell in place. It's not that even today the number of openings in this sector are few. This probably is not the forum to discuss that, but getting into this field was probably just an occurrence over the events as time developed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I have you say a few words on what motivated you as well? Professor Shrija Lakshmi.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, and happy to see many glowing, smiling, happy faces around here. So typically, I come from a very small village, okay? So the basic question to what motivated me to enter into STEM field, or whatever you call it today, it was the wish to do something to my community. In fact, my family had, it's a middle income family it was. And I saw only my father working. My mother was always working for us. We three kids are there at home. So I always wanted to, in one part, I wanted to contribute to the income to the family. So I always thought if my mother also would have got some income, what would have been the status in which we lived? Okay. The second thing is that always my family had a big support for women. So I got that encouragement from my family, and the family always told that you have the potential and we are behind you. You explore what is there and what you want to do. Okay? So this factor was there whenever I was in schools, and it got further cultivated, it grown further when I reached my college. Still I continued in my region, in the college as well. So interactions with my family and the deliberations what happened within my family circle, in fact, motivated me to enter in this field. And when I reached, say, the career, so I work with the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. One can call it as the space analog of your Maritime University, where you are feeding into the maritime system and we are feeding the space industry, sort of. So our institute actually then motivated a lot. I joined back in 2007. I grew up with my university. So it's a 16-year-old teenage university where we train our students to take up the challenges in the space sector of the country and currently in the space industry as well. So when I entered into this field of academics, one should say, there the ambient environment was also there, which actually pulled out the best. So with mentors like APJ Abdul Kalam, starting from APJ Abdul Kalam, then Dr. Madhavan Nair, all these stalwarts of the ISRO used to be our mentors. So the moment you have the mentors, the moment you have the right mindset, I feel nothing will stop you from achieving your dreams. So that is, in short, my journey to this particular field of STEM.
Thank you, ma'am. May I request Madhura and Manju also to tell us the same?
Thank you so much, Aarti. Vanakkam, Chennai. My name is Madhura Dasguptasana, and I'm the founder and CEO of Aspire for Her. At Aspire for Her, we're adding 1 million women to the workforce by 2025. Thank you. Very, very happy to be here, and a warm note of gratitude for Malini ma'am. And if she says something, I do not ask any questions. So I just came. Thank you so much for having me here. She has been a part of Aspire for Her ever since we started Aspire for Her. So thank you so much, ma'am, for doing what you do for women. And today, this has been an eye-opener. And I'll talk a little bit about my motivation because that's what you're asking me. So, you know, when I was a banker, and I was a banker for 25 years, I was looking at gender data emanating from India. And I'm so happy to see Malini ma'am quote a part of that data from the Global Gender Gap Index. As we know, India is almost at the bottom in terms of women's economic participation for the past many years, out of a long list of 146 countries. And that is something that disturbed me. What also disturbed me was my friend Priya, who grew up not very far away from here, who actually one day, she had given up a job after having a child, who one day said, I want to contribute to my father's cancer treatment, but I have no money that I can call of my own. And I just don't want to ask my husband. The same day, I had another friend of my daughter's who waltzed in and said, I have given up my job at Deloitte because I am getting into an arranged marriage and the boy's family has indicated that they do not allow their women to work. And I asked myself, does this girl not know that she is going to become my friend Priya and feel so disappointed after 20 years? That's when I decided I wanted to start an organization, a movement. Today, Aspire for Her is striding towards its goal for 2025. We have about 400,000 members, mentors, and supporters across the country and the globe. I'd love to welcome all of you to become members at Aspire for Her. It's open for women and for men as well who can come in as supporters. The huge opportunity in India, the economic opportunity, the $1 trillion opportunity in India is what motivated me, and my friend like Priya motivated me to start Aspire for Her. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here. This is the first time I am in this campus, a very beautiful campus. So coming to the question, what motivated me? It's really a long story, but I'll cut it short. Someone who I have never seen has inspired me to be in this field. As Madam was telling in the speech, it was Marie Curie. The school is the formative years, and when I studied about Marie Curie, what struck about her to me was that in those periods, she was one of the few scientists who had struck gold among all the men. And as Madam was telling, she was the only person and the first woman to have won 2 Nobel Prizes. You know how difficult it is to get even 1 Nobel Prize, and she has won in both physics and chemistry. And if you Google it, you can find there's a photo of a conference in Solnay. And in that conference, all the pioneers are there, including Einstein, Planck, everyone, Bohr, and the only women scientist in that photo is Marie Curie. So it has actually triggered my imagination, and I was thinking, if she can do it, I can do something. And I wanted to be unique and to be different. And that triggered that interest in science in me. And later, when I have tried for the job, I have got job in both IT and space together in 1 week interval. And I thought the science and space, that was a wonderful combination. That's how I entered into ISRO. And once I entered, I was always searching for opportunity to do something different. That's how I entered electric propulsion. And once I entered electric propulsion, I got the opportunity to do the first ever electric propulsion system for ISRO, and actually I won the award for that. So to this day, I don't regret my decision. I am so thankful to Marie Curie. I'm awestruck by her, and even now I go back and see her life, and I can go on about her. I'm so inspired by her. That's my journey in short. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju. So having heard their beginnings, let's go down to brass tacks. So what would you describe your typical day, and how would you handle the difficulties? Anyone can come in, anyone can jump in. Anyone, okay. Okay, Professor Shrija, please. How would you describe your typical day, and how do you handle difficulties?
Yeah, My typical day starts mostly around 5:30 or 5 in the morning. So the immediate job is to wake up my son, of course. I have only one son. And it happened so that I waited long for my single son to be born to me. So he's only now 12 years old, whereas I'm close to 50 now. I should not tell that, but even then, okay. So I have to wake up my son. And of course, in the back of my head, many other things are going on. Maybe the menu for the day, how to get him ready for the school. Then of course, after reaching my campus, which is some 45 to 50 minutes drive from my home, how do I handle my lectures, my research scholars, then postdoctoral fellows are there, so the discussions will be there. In between, there will be some meetings with some of the ISRO centers, of course. We feed into the ISRO system, so I have to meet some of their requirements also. And in between, I'd like to share one more news with you. So we are having the Human in Space program, Gaganyaan, India's first human in space mission. And I am actually one of the science PIs for the first biological payload that will be flying on board Gaganyaan. So we do have a bit diverse research areas to be catered to. So these things will go on, and of course I am one among the most fortunate persons alive who has the full support of family even today. Okay, so even now I am sitting here, my son is taken care of my parents even now. So I mean, so much of stress is actually relieved. So what I emphasize always is that our family becomes actually the pillar of support for us. Okay, so you can define your family, that's a different thing, but whoever it is, they are going to give you the energy. Okay, so boost is the secret of many people's energy, family is the secret of my energy. That is what I wanted to tell. So the thing is, it goes on, and there are moments of stress, of course, but the thing is now, don't allow the stress to overrule you. Okay, there should be measures, or you should find out ways. Like our people are here, they are practicing yoga, they are enjoying with their music, arts and all. So such things, STEM should have that A component, arts component as well. So you bring A into this STEM, then of course many stresses can be controlled. And of course downtimes are there. Good days are going to emerge. So always keep a positive attitude. This is one thing that I always tell my students as well. So I keep a positive attitude as much as possible. My day, office day ends around 6:45 or 7 most of the time. Some of the time 5:30 also I leave the campus, reaching home and then enjoying dinner, all those stuff, like any common woman. Okay, one should say. But there is no disparity which is existing in my family. So I'm enjoying every day, every moment, every milliseconds of my life. Okay, so that's the thing about it.
Thank you, Professor, on that note of positive thought.
Yeah, so I guess all of us more or less would be in the similar situation, struggling with the home front and the office. As far as I'm concerned, I have got the entire, I have been let's say blessed to have the entire spectrum of family life. I have 2 sons, and of course family support is a different question, probably later asked, but we all have been able to come here because of the family support. Additionally, actually, I was in a very peculiar situation. Me and my husband have been in a very peculiar situation where we have had to look after both sets of parents. It has been an unusual household. At some point, all the 4 were with us, and I'm happy that we could do this. Very few people are blessed to look after the in-laws as well as the parents with each other. As my spouse and me, we have both kind of taken decisions to look after all the 4 of them and the sons. So obviously you can imagine it has been hectic days for me. There have been times when there is a lot of stress with illnesses and sicknesses. But you learn to maneuver around those by being, I would say the important or key thing is to be extremely methodical. You have to plan your day. You have to ensure that everything is taken care of. And a long time back when I was at Duke, there was a lady who came to, on a similar Women's Day kind of an occasion, she came and gave us a lecture, a professor at one of the big universities. And she said something at that time which stuck, and I advise all the young people here as well. Don't try to do everything yourself. We are not superhuman beings and we have limitations. Get help, okay? And so in India, fortunately, household help is really available. But it's not just enough to, get help. You have to understand what help you want so that you still remain part of the family. I love to cook, so the morning few hours is spent in cooking for the family. I have made the lunch boxes for my sons myself, so that has given me immense satisfaction. But once I go to the office, I have ensured that everything else is taken care of systematically so that I focus on work. It's unfortunate that many times people are distracted so much by the home front that they are unable to focus in office, and that should not be, okay? And I advise all you young women that you take care of it in such a way that during those hours when you're in office, you're fully focused. And then when you go back home, you should learn to leave it all there and then again come back to the family. So if you follow that kind of a regime, you can deal with the stresses and you can deal with the challenges in office and at home. And I think I've struggled a lot initially to do that, but you kind of learn as you go along. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for that methodical approach. So from A to methodical, what is your typical day?
Great question. And I'll just not talk about just a typical day, but a little bit about the work that we do and therefore the people that I get to meet, the very, very interesting people that I get to meet in my new life after leaving banking. Don't mention this that I said this to anyone. So, at Aspire for Her, we try to build communities and networks, and we have 18 communities today, and the biggest and by far the most active community is women in technology. So just one interesting thing that happened a few days ago, and I'll just probably mention that as a sort of a piece for my day. So this was a woman who was in Vizag, and we have a partnership with AWS, Amazon Web Services, and they were actually looking to train a lot of women in cloud certification. And this was a woman who had worked only for 1 year in her life, and for the next 18 years, she was bringing up her family. Husband had Parkinson's. And at that point in time, she decided that she had to do something to change things for the economic prosperity of her family and do something to pick up the burden of the family. So she started studying for the cloud certification, literally burning the midnight oil. At the end of 3 months, she got certified. And Amazon had told us, hey, if you guys have some good CVs, please send some our way of people who want to return to the workforce. Now, we had no expectations or no hopes, but we sent her CV across. So one of the high points was that she went through the 9 rounds of interview at Amazon, and then she actually made it to Amazon as an intern. A few days back, and that's when I was speaking to her, Amazon has confirmed her as a permanent employee and has also given her the opportunity to work out of Vizag, where they actually have no office. This has been a special dispensation made to her. So these are the kind of stories that make my day. So thank you.
The second part of the question, how do you handle the difficulties?
The biggest difficulty that we handle really is the mindset of women, of men, and of society in general. So we try to actually infuse a little bit of science to handling the difficulty, and we have made our own 5-point mindset change model. And if I give the name of the model here, I think all of the scientists, eminent scientists sitting here will laugh at us, but the model is called E cubed is equal to MC cubed. I'm sorry, we have stolen that from a much more famous equation, but E cubed stands for where we want every woman to be in India, either in employment, in entrepreneurship, or in education, which leads to one of these two. And MCCNC stands for mentorships and role models, courses, cohorts, and learning. The next C is for career previews, because we feel strongly if she can see it, she can be it. And the last C is community.
Thank you so much for that scientific equation. please.
For me, typical day begins when the whole world sleeps. I always like to wake up very early, around 4:30, Brahma Muhurta. Then I do meditation, around 20 minutes or so, and I do the affirmations. And then I try to do yoga most of the day, sometimes workout or walking also, sometimes dancing also, as most probably yoga. Then I regularly do a gratitude journal. It's very, very important for all of us to be grateful for what we have. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, every little thing. So I, without any hesitation, every day, even if I'm in, even if it's a very busy day, I make it a point to write the gratitude journal. Then I do the schedule and planning. That's also very important. I have a different story to tell. I'm a single mother. I single-handedly take care of my son for the last 16 years. And I have juggled the home and office perfectly. This is only because of my methodical, systematic planning and scheduling. And that enabled me to be the first lady PD in my office. And also, the mother I wanted to be, because my son is working, and it's like, if I say an analogy, I will say that this is like a juggler playing with the different balls. You cannot do everything together. You just need to focus on the one crystal ball. That's how I have maintained my life. And I do the office work, then I come back. Then another thing which I do very systematically is to spend quality time with my son. Every day I sit with him, discuss with him. From childhood days, I will discuss with him what all happened during the day. And now he is a very grown-up boy. He is 25 years. So we share insights, we support each other, we inspire each other, and we also tell what we learned throughout the day. So that is inevitable for the day. And I also would spend some time reading, sometime self-development books, or sometime autobiographies, or sometimes technical reports, but I will read definitely. And I'll finish the day with some alpha music or some calming, relaxing music. That's how I ended my day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that insight. So I think all of us agree on plan, process, do, check. Very, very methodical panel that I have right here, handling both career, office, and everything else. So moving on.
I had just one thing to add. So,
Yes,
all of
please.
you have sons, I notice, and I feel so happy that you are bringing up the right kind of citizens and men who will actually support the movement. I have a daughter. And I must share here that she actually doesn't live in India anymore. She lives in New York, and she's here just for a few days. But because I really wanted to be here, so I decided to give up that time with her and be here, just to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much for that. So let's move on to the next question. What was any funny moments or memorable moments in your life, career, anything that you'd like to share with us?
Okay, so let me share this. I won't call it funny, but it is certainly something memorable. And so all of you, the young women students over here, I just want to tell you that please don't be afraid to sail. I have done all the projects by sailing myself, and strangely enough, no matter which boat I have gone in, I have never been seasick. In fact, people used to make fun of me. Maybe you were, in your old janam, you were like a fisherwoman or something. You just don't seem to be seasick at all. But probably at some point, somebody had a lot of discussions and they felt maybe women's physiology, whether it is that or we don't know, or maybe I was individually just not a seasick kind of person. So that is just an aside, but basically there was this one time which I would like to relate. We were doing a very serious deployment offshore, okay? And I was sailing on our vessel Sagar Manjusha. NIOT has got 4 vessels. So these are used in our own technology development programs. So I was sailing on Sagar Manjusha, and the pipe that we were deploying was 1 kilometer long. So 2 other vessels were involved. One was hired, what we call tug. The mariners here would know that. And then there was another vessel, a crane barge, who was our direct contractor, who was working with us for the deployment. Now, the tug master and this crane barge operator, they got into some kind of a quarrel, and this was more like an observation vessel, the one I was on. I was leading the operation. So once they came to know, they said, "Madam, they are having a lot of serious disagreements, so we need to bring you on board." So they announced that on a common VHF frequency that the project director is going to be talking to you, and we have to sort out this issue. So I came online. I came on the same frequency as both of them, and then I started talking. Now it's still like sort of entrenched in my mind the way the tug master talked to me, because I don't think he had ever even seen a woman sail. So he was very rude, and he said, as though, what would this young woman know? I mean, what does she know, kind of thing. And we had a lot of disagreements. Finally, I raised my voice and I said, "I'm in charge here and you have to listen to me." And then for the next 1 hour, with lot of difficulty handling him. I mean, he was a few kilometers away. All this is only on radio frequency. It was also getting very, very dark. We had to finish the operation before nightfall. And of course, the crane operator was doing whatever I said, because he was our contractor in any case. So it was a very challenging operation. Some ropes had to be tied, and the pipe had to be, the weather was getting stormy as well. But I won't go into those details, but nevertheless, an hour and a half later, it was pitch dark, but the operation was completed. And I kept giving instructions continuously. And fortunately, at some point, I think he felt that I'm talking sense. So he decided to listen to me, and everything went off smoothly. The whole operation was completed as I had wished. So it was over, and then we had to relieve the tug at that time, because these are very expensive. Every day, several lakhs of rupees. So as soon as it was done, we had asked him to leave. So we said, okay, everything is fine. We decided, they all said, "Madam, come and have dinner now," and things like that. So I was just about to leave and go to my cabin. The crane operator decided to take rest on his vessel, few kilometers away. Then the tug master came online and said, "I want to speak to that lady." So I came online again, and he said, "Madam, this has been one of the most interesting experiences of my lifetime. I won't forget it. Hats off to you, madam. I didn't know that such women exist and this kind of operations can be done by women." So I was very amused, and I said, "Thank you, and thanks for cooperating." So, but that has remained in my mind, because at least after seeing us work, they come to actually accept, and then they allow you to lead. I mean, that's important, After taking you seriously, they should allow you to lead, and then they should follow what you are saying. So I think that was achieved that night, and that is interesting. Thank you.
That's a beautiful moment right there.
Like I was telling, I don't have funny moments as such.
Anything, memories or anything?
Yeah, memories definitely I have. Especially in the beginning of the career, since many students are sitting, I would trace the time back to my day when the interviews were going on for our institute recruitment, first ever recruitment for our institute, 2007. So went to ISRO headquarters. So I was centering, I just finished my PhD, then I didn't get any opportunity. I got a very short stint of postdoc in Sri Jitendra Institute of Medical Science and Technology, from where I am just going to attend this interview. So as everybody knows, the ISRO's recruitments are very tough, stringent. So even many people, many male friends or maybe mentors told me, Shrija, do you really think you want to go there? Then I said, yes, I will go and see what will happen. So I went to the interview board. There was around some 15, 20 members, all male. I don't know at that time that mandatory requirement was not there or not, there should be a lady representative. Everybody was sitting around, and I entered the hall. They were asking some preliminary questions, and of course, being an interview for an academic position, they just told me, you just give a lecture to the sitting community here, panel. So without thinking anything, and one thing I should say that I was not bothered who was sitting over there. I didn't know. I was that ignorant. So I just went to the board, and I immediately started the lecture telling that I'm going to assume that everybody is now just finished your +2, and I'm going to give the lecture. Okay, any doubts you can ask me, and you can stop me at any time. Simply went on telling some basic chemistry like organic chemistry, the reaction mechanisms and all. And in between, some people were asking, very old senior professors were asking questions. I was just telling them. And in between, the chair of the session told, okay, Shrija, when will it be possible to join? Then immediately I felt that, oh, I got appointed. So that much ignorant I was, because I didn't know that the interview has to complete, and then there will be some, mechanisms through which you will be intimated. Immediately I said, oh, sir, anytime I can join. I was in a fully joy mood. And I came out of the interview, finished it, it was decently closed. Came out, and then our people who were waiting outside, they asked me, Madam, do you know who were sitting inside? And I said, no, I don't know. One was our B.N. Suresh sir, our Padma Bhushan B.N. Suresh sir was sitting. He was a chair of his row. At that time, VSSC chair, director. And then many professors whose books we have been studying for long. So they were sitting there. And then they were asking, how come you can talk to people like that? And I told, I didn't know. I was just facing my interview, right? And it is up to the board that you choose me or not choose me. But after a while, I realized that if at all I realized who were there sitting, then probably I might not have got that courage at that time. So be yourself wherever you are. So that is going to actually give you an extra mile of journey. You will be able to accomplish something when you don't have something pre-planned. So go the way as you. So this is, actually it was funny for me at that time because I was enjoying the moment, but later on, sort of less thought from my side, I would say. But it ended up nicely. I got the call letter, appointment letter, very short, and still I'm with the institute. So it's a small story. So don't be scared when you are attending an interview. Okay, just give yourself. Yeah.
So that's a fabulous advantage of the ignorance is bliss policy, I must say. So may I request you also to say a few words on this?
So I'll just talk about a memorable moment. Actually, what we see at Aspire for Her is every day we go home and we, get to sleep very happy because there is some impact or the other that we have created every day. And I'll just talk about a couple of days back. So we started a community called Her Sport Ki Champion some time back. This is for post-athletic sportswomen. And as you know that in our country, sportsmen and sportswomen, they are taught to win medals on the ground. But after that, what? What do they do after that? We have not really trained them for the corporate world or for the institutional world, for any other world after that. So we've started this new community called Her Sport Ki Champion, and we started it with the government of Odisha. And the initial days were extremely stressful because we just realized that these girls who had done long jump and running and athletics and swimming and volleyball, they really did not want to even get into the workforce, and they did not have any vision of what they wanted to do in the future. So after a lot of hard work, and this is led by my colleague Rika Roy, who used to be the sports editor of NDTV, we slowly started changing their mindsets, again using the same model. And we slowly realized that they were getting opened up, their minds were getting opened up to other kinds of careers. And just over the last 3-4 days, there has been a bank which has come and hired 3 of them. There has been a fintech company which has hired a couple of them, and a Tata company which has hired 5 women from Her Sports Ki Champion from Odisha. So we feel incredibly proud that this has happened, and we're doing something for those who have fought all their lives for their state, for their district, and for their country. And the funny moment actually was when Rika announced on the group that one of these girls, okay, comes from a humble tribal background and has got this job with this bank. She is also going to get a house and a cook. So, we all laughed a lot and said we would love to get a job like this because, the Odia culinary expertise is very, very well known. And, we are all joking that we will all go and now stay with her, a house and a cook with the job, and somebody who not even thought of a career before. We thought it was a very good, cool moment. And here I'd like to thank my other colleague, Priya Mohandas, who's here. She has worked very hard for her Sport Ki Champion and a lot of other things. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhura. Dr. Manju, funny, memorable moments?
It's neither of them. It's a very cute incident. I would rather say I'm often invited to schools and colleges for this kind of maybe mostly inauguration of science exhibitions and invited talks and all that stuff. So I am mostly interested in going to remote villages and speaking to girl children in fact. So one such incident is very memorable. What happened on that day is that after my speech, I went to exhibition hall and this one little girl, very small girl, she held my hand, she dragged me to her stall and said, ma'am, you should see mine. And there were other people who were all waiting. She said, no, you should see mine first. And she dragged me there and she was explaining, little girl, very small. And she was explaining very animatedly her, whatever she was exhibiting and all that. I asked any question, she was answering everything. Then after that, she held my hand and pulled me down, and in my ears she was asking, ma'am, can I fly? Can I go to space? Then I said, you want? Yes, after hearing you, I want to go to space. Then I said, why not? Why not? Thank you. I said, why not? You can also, you first study well. You study well, then you reach a stage, then we'll see. Then after coming out, her mother came to me and said, till now she has never spoken about science or anything. After hearing what you spoke, she was so interested. So that made my day because that is what I want. When I talk to hundreds of people, even one person, one child changes our way of thinking, that will make my life.
Thank you for that inspirational moment. So I'm going to ask one last question and then it's over to the audience for a couple of questions. So my one last question to you is, have you been in a situation where you felt it would have been easier or harder to handle that situation if you were a man?
Unfortunately, the answer is several times. Especially in a man-driven engineering world, that also in marine. Yes, certainly. But I mean, that is like in a manner of saying actually. But on the other hand, there have been like these, challenges that we have faced when we are doing offshore, and it would have been much easier if. The difficult part is, I have felt, it's changed now a little bit, but the difficult part was actually getting people to listen to you, So a simple anecdote is like, I had gone to this TNEB, this Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, and we were trying to do a project here in the North Chennai Thermal Power Station. So I went with two of my team people, 2 ranks below me, and we went there, and this was a chief engineer, and we go there and then they start talking. They're constantly, also probably a small lacuna on my end is I'm not a Tamilian, so though I can understand now after living several years here, but the constantly, I mean, I was in the center, but there were these two my scientists, on either side, and all the men were always talking to that one individual, always, And they kept talking, and they were also listening. I also kept listening. I do understand, so there's not a problem. I kept listening. Then they asked a question which was a policy decision, which was an important thing to be told at that time. At that time, the scientist there simply pointed his finger to me and said, only madam can decide that. And the three men, their jaws literally dropped, because they had not expected that I'm the boss here and not them. You know, they automatically assumed that I should be a subordinate to these guys. So anyway, in the end, it was different. It was a different story, and they accepted, and then the discussions went well. So the bottom of the, to cut the long story short, is basically, so this is, the mindset is difficult to change many times, and on the other hand, when you actually overcome that and you manage to convince them that yes, she talks sense and she is like, saying the right things, you can finally overcome it, and then it doesn't matter whether you are a man or a woman at that point, once you have actually convinced them. But sometimes it is an uphill task sometimes.
Thank you, Dr. Purnima. Would you like to take that question, please? Professor Shrija?
Yeah. In fact, no, I don't think that anything would have changed in my life if I was a man. Okay, and I think I'm doing the way I'm doing now is just because I'm a woman. So I'm just proud about being a woman, and a woman in this way I can proceed. So, and most of the time I feel that being a woman is more powerful than being a man. I mean, I'm sorry about the, because we women always carry you, right? WOMEN. So you are always there when we are there. So typically, I'm proud about being a woman, and I don't think that anything stopped me from pursuing my dream, only because I'm a woman. So I'm happy about that also.
Thank you for the duality of thought as well. May I request Madhura?
So, this is the Indian Maritime University, and I love the sea. The only time that I think I have regretted not being a man is when I'm on the beach and I'm not ready to go into the sea. But if I were a man, I would just be able to open my shirt and get right in.
Yeah, I completely agree with Srija. I am very proud to be a woman, and I always think that being woman is not an excuse, it's a privilege. So, and I'm not encountered any situation in life where I felt I was a man, but because as Srija was rightly telling, I also agree to her point that we tend to have, I am sorry if I am telling in front of me, because we tend to be more able to multitask than men, because we are bound to handle so many things at home and at office parallelly. And I always tell this joke, when I'm about to present in a very important presentation, maybe in front of the chairman is ISRO, I get a call and my vendor is calling, ma'am, where should I put the vegetable basket, in front of your door, or I should leave the security? So I have to take that call also. So we women all the time manage all these trivial things also among all the major things. So I think that's a capability, and we got extreme resilience, maybe because we go through the physical pain of childbirth and all that. We can survive, and we can come through all those pains. So I think we are more capable of handling. So in not a second I felt that I should be a man. I'm proud, very proud to be a woman.
Thank you, Dr. Manju. So over to the audience. Anyone in the audience who'd like to ask? We'll take 1 or 2 questions depending on the time. Malini ma'am, set the ball rolling.
No, it's just an observation, because 3 out of the 4 women who were deep into science talked about sons. Would their life have been different if they had daughters?
So Can any one of the three or all three take that up?
So that's an interesting question because when I came to know I was pregnant, I just said I want one daughter. That was always something that I felt I should have because I'm from a privileged background and I am empowered and I have been the only girl in a class of 60 boys in engineering, the only Asian woman doing structural engineering, PhD in Duke. So it was always like I need a daughter so that this can be passed on in this tradition. And actually, I have two sons, I said, but actually I should clarify, I have twin sons, twin identical sons. So instead of one daughter, I was actually, when I came to know it's two sons, initially like I felt, oh, this is going to be difficult and different. But the way my sons have turned out, yeah, it's possible that, the daughters, the whole game is different with daughters. My sons are now of marriageable age and I'm hoping that my daughters-in-law will be my daughters. So I'm looking forward to that day.
So ma'am, to that question, my son is only now 12 years old, but I don't know how a 12-year-old girl will be. Maybe she will be supporting, that is, if you anticipate. My son is actually helping me with all the households, including, I actually trained him. I told him it is not mom's job, it is not grandmom's job only to handle the kitchen. Even I'm training him for some cooking skills and all. So I'm just bringing up with, as if I'm bringing up a girl or I don't differentiate, I don't like to differentiate between, that is the thing that in my
Actually, I still want a son only because I want him to be trained to respect girls and ladies and to be trained in a women where in a society where men and women should be treated equally. So I still would rather have a second son rather than a daughter and bring up like what my son is, and I think I have done my job well.
So I'm going to answer your question. So I play a dual role. I have done STEM, I have done arts. I have a son and a daughter, and I find no difference between the two of them, and I enjoy STEM, arts, son, daughter, everything together. That's my life in a nutshell. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if with the permission of the
Yes.
moderator, one
Yes, please.
brief question to all of them. If you can name one person in your life who, because of his or her mentoring, you actually achieved something.
Ma'am, I don't think I really had a mentor in my professional life, but the credit to who I am today and how what I became is, I think, wholly due to my father. We are two daughters. I mean, I have a younger sister. So when I went to engineering and my sister she's a doctor. So the question, was, it's just on the lighter side. The relatives and, everybody used, and we both of us have gone into higher education and we both studied in the US, and the question was, how will you find grooms for them? Okay? And my father especially, though both my parents are, very, very enlightened, he used to say, we will worry about it, we will let them worry about it, and more than that, I'm not going to distinguish that, my daughter should not do this because she's a girl and not a boy. So that is why when I was, in fact, in the second year, generally people are allowed to change their disciplines if you don't. My father wanted me to be a civil engineer actually, and he actually wanted me to be a construction manager. In those days, it was a bit fashionable. So I was the only girl in class, and in the second year, there were a lot of questions raised as to whether I should move to electrical, where there were 6 girls and, not one as in mechanical and civil. My father said, don't change because you're a single girl in class. You change it only if you don't like what you're doing. And that's why I remained there, and I have never regretted it. And I think all this credit, and even as I have grown and until he passed away 5 years ago, I used to discuss all the challenges in office as well, and he has always given me the right advice, and and sort of mentored me into how to handle life's challenges and in the world of men. So I think that answers your question, ma'am.
For me, right after the family support, of course, one decision made by my parents, I think that was the turning point in my life, and that was their permission to marry the man that I loved. So my family let me marry the person whom I loved, and he continues to support along with my son. So our journey continues. So that is what we say.
So I don't have one mentor, Malini ma'am. You know that we have more than 300. And this is a group that we have at Aspire for Her for all our mentors. They are all very, very accomplished leaders. They are CEOs, CXOs. I'm so privileged to have two of them sitting over here. Sanjam, thank you so much for being an amazing mentor at Aspire for Her, along with Malini ma'am, of course. What the mentors do to us, to me as well, is really they try and remove barriers. They try and be the wind beneath our wings. They talk about us in rooms when we are not there. And I think that's personally been one of the biggest and one of the most enriching mentorship equations that I have ever seen. They mentor, of course, our community in general, but I think to me also, they have been absolutely, absolutely wonderful pillars of support. So it's called Trillion. The mentorship group is called Trillion, and that stands for the $1 trillion opportunity that we can have if only 10% more women get into the workforce in India. That's not our equation, it's McKinsey's.
So for me, I feel that mentors actually support us.
You want this one?
Mentors actually support us, and actually they try to find the true potential in us, which we may ourselves may not see sometimes. For me, actually, in personal life and professional life, I have had mentors. In the sense, in my personal life, my mother was always a strong pillar of support. She's a very brave, brilliant, and determined lady. To this day, she stands by me for all my decisions. I made a wrong decision in my life that made me single. She stood by me that time. Still, she stands by me for all my decisions, and she continues to be my inspiration till my death. So that is my mother for me. And in my official life, when I joined, I was basically easy. But when I joined, I was put in computer division. That time, in 1980s, we didn't know much of computer. So I was like pushed into water and asked to swim. So I was not knowing anything. But my boss that time, he has retired now. That time he believed in me, and he entrusted me with so many new things, like setting up the first network for our center, setting up the first website for our center, setting up the first video conference. The video conference was unheard that time, and I was the person who was maintaining and running that video conference. And still remember in the video conference session, Madanai sir and Perimal sir, they come, the stellar figures, they come, and I dictate to them how to speak, which mic to switch on, which don't ruffle the paper so much. So, and they listen very intently to me. So that was the kind of belief my boss had that time on me. Then after some time, I shifted to my field, electronics. Here again, I was new because I had a gap in my career. But then the boss, he also retired now. He believed in me and entrusted with that electric propulsion work, which later earned me an award, and also as I told earlier, the first lady project director in my center. So thanks to all the mentors in my life, and I continue to mentor all my team, and I continue to mentor particularly the ladies, and I continue to inspire them in their lives.
Thank you, Dr. Manju. So we have 4 amazing mentors right here on the panel for all of you sitting here, and we have come to a close to this panel discussion. So the bottom line is, let's start listening and let's give opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was definitely an interesting, enlightening. We got a peek into the lives of so many eminent and well accomplished personalities, and that is the biggest takeaway of the day. So let's give them all a big hand. So while they are on the stage, may I call upon our director and Deputy Registrar Dr. Bhuvaneshwari to hand over mementos as a token of our appreciation. Please. Yeah. Ma'am, could you give away the mementos to one of them at least? So I think we will start with our moderator, Ms. Aarti. The memento to Ms. Aarti Narayan for joining us today and being a very valuable moderator for this session. Dr. Purnima Jala. And Dr. Shrija. Dr. Shrija. Dr. Shrija. Dr. Manju S. Nair. And Ms. Madhura Dasgupta. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all, dear panel, wonderful ladies here we have had. Let's give them all a final round of applause, please. We now break for a very short tea break. We initially had half an hour scheduled for it, but we will have to cut it down to 15 minutes. I request the audience to kindly assemble back in exactly 15 minutes after chai. To be precise, at 12:15 we will start the panel discussion too. Thank you very much. May I request the audience to kindly settle down? So welcome back. After a cup of tea or coffee, I think you are all refreshed enough to go on to the second part of our panel discussion of WiSTEMM 2024. So the panel discussion 2 will be on life of women in maritime. So I have great pleasure in introducing to you the panelists of the second session. 2 of our panelists will be joining us online, and it gives me great pleasure to read out the profile of the first panelist, Captain Radhika Menon, very well known amongst most of you, I believe. So she has a long list of impressive credentials. Captain Radhika Menon is India's first female merchant navy captain, the first Indian woman to command a foreign-owned ship, and the first woman to be awarded the IMO Award for Exceptional Bravery at Sea in 2016. So she took up a sea career as a radio officer at SEI in 1991 and opted for conversion to a navigating officer, rose up the ranks, and took command in 2012. I'm sure she inspires a lot of you here. She still continues as an active sailing master. She has a lot of contributions in the maritime field. I shall read out some of the more meritorious ones. So she has won a lot of accolades for her leadership and advocacy for gender equality. Kindly settle down. And her illustrious maritime career has made her a mentor to many women globally. She is the co-founder of the International Women Seafarers Foundation, IWSF, which was established in 2017 with the primary objective of promoting the participation of women seafarers in the maritime industry. So since its inception, this membership has grown significantly with over 1,000 seafarers, women seafarers, hailing from over 8 different countries. I think that is an achievement by itself. Under Captain Menon's leadership, IWSF has made substantial contributions. Some of the highlights I read out here. Captain Radhika Menon has played a very pivotal role in enhancing employability of women seafarers, mentoring and support to women seafarers, ensuring their continued growth. And she's collaborated with various companies to implement best practices that promote gender equality and inclusivity. She has contributed to policy guidelines for creating conducive work atmosphere for women on board. I think these were released by the DG Shipping, Government of India in 2019. And there are a lot of contributions to the welfare of seafarers. I go on and read some of her awards. The Gallantry at Sea by NMDC India. She is the first woman to receive this award. And the International Maritime Organization UN Award for Exceptional Bravery at Sea in 2016. She is the first woman in the world to receive this honor. There are many, but I will limit myself to 2 more. Seafarer of the Year from Lloyd's List South Asia, Middle East and Africa in 2017. First Women Achievers Award from the Honorable President of India in 2018 for her unusual choice of field. This could be you. Nari Shakti Puraskar by the Honorable President of India in 2021 in recognition of exceptional work for women empowerment. And she was, as late as 23 December, she was awarded the Women Personality of the Year at the ShipTech Annual Award Ceremony. So this is about Captain Radhika Menon, who is one of our panelists. It's unfortunate she could not join us in person. Next, I would like to, Ms. Sunita Bala also, she is not here with us. She is also joining us online. But I shall go on to welcome Ms. Rupali Raj Joshi, Head of Marine Engineering Division of New Mangalore Port. Ms. Rupali is here with us today. Yes. She's an experienced marine maintenance engineer with over 12 years of experience, and she has specialization in engineering, maintenance, reliability maintenance management, on-board ship, bulk carrier, oil tanker, and product carrier. She has an array of skills in cross-functional collaboration, teaming root cause identification, resource allocation, preventive maintenance, and tactical solution for process problems. So she has a proven ability to implement and sustain maintenance life cycles. She also has a track record of success in utilizing best practices in energy saving and utility sourcing. To mention few of her other credentials, she has a lot of experience and she is specialized in safety performance during rough weather, ability to understand and implement new legal requirements of SOLAS and MARPOL. And she's always eager to learn new things, looking forward to best optimum solutions, and has sincere efforts going her way. And she says her work has always inspired and motivated her co-workers. And that is a long list of achievements. She's also associated with Maritime Union of India as an executive committee member from 2019 till date. So after she moved on to shore jobs, she's been a marine engineer as head of Marine Engineering Division at New Mangalore Port Authority since 28th January 2021. So she has core competency at port crafts, tenders, legal issues, claim settlements, and ISP as audit of port. And she has handled rec-related issues, certification, flag state inspections, etc. And she has 15 years of sailing experience on various types of ships as well. Ma'am, welcome you. May I request our director, sir, please, I request you to escort Ms. Rupali Raj Joshi to stage, please. Next, I'd like to invite and welcome Lieutenant Commander Beena Jain from the Indian Navy, who is here. Just a minute, sir. Maybe I could just read about her, but she's given us a very brief profile to read about herself. She's been very humble in that. After her degree, BTech in Electronics and Telecommunications, Lieutenant Commander Beena later on went to complete her MSc in Atmospheric Science and thereafter joined the Indian Navy in the education cadre. She has been an instructor for the sailors of the Indian Navy. Later, she has specialized in meteorology and has been posted at Premier Naval Air Station of the Indian Navy, and she specializes in weather forecast for the various naval air operations. Welcome, madam. Welcome, Commander. Please, I request you to please step onto the dais. So another panelist who is joining us online today is Ms. Sunita Bala, the first woman chief engineer and co-founder of the International Women Seafarers Foundation, IWSF. Allow me a moment to read out her credentials, please. Miss Sunita Bala was the first female chief engineer and the extra first-class engineer. She began her career as a marine field surveyor, later on becoming the first Indian lady chief engineer aboard MT Lance Nayak Albert Eka with the Shipping Corporation of India. With a background of ex-marine class surveyor and auditor and ex-DMET, she has contributed significantly to the maritime community. She is currently working as director audits at a Danish company. She is also serving as an executive member and first lady governing council member at the Institute of Marine Engineers, and she has played a crucial role in shaping policies and initiatives. So co-founding the IWSF, the foundation, her passion lies in promoting gender neutrality. That's a very interesting term, gender neutrality in the maritime industry. Through the IWCF, she remains steadfast in her commitment to empowering women in the merchant navy, offering guidance, mentorship and support through their seafaring journeys with the ultimate aim of having a more inclusive maritime environment. Her dedication to women's empowerment in the merchant navy sector is widely acclaimed, serving as an inspiration to many aspiring seafarers. We wish she had joined us in person, but she is joining us online. And with that, I think the last person, but I would say the most important person to call on stage would be Ms. Sanjam Gupta, Sanjam Sahi Gupta, who is the moderator of panel 2 today. A brief profile on Ms. Sanjam, so for the benefit of all of us here. She is the director of Sithara Shipping Limited. She is a founder member of Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, WiSTA as it is known, India, and was a board member of WiSTA International from 2014 to 2021, looking after the Asia Pacific region. So she has helped set up new WiSTA associations in various countries such as Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Georgia, and Malaysia. She is a member of the Executive Board of Directors of the World Maritime University based in Malmö, Sweden. As an ambassador of Sailors Society and founding board member of MTS, she is committed to seafarers' welfare. And she has been a major force in bringing out the Diversity Handbook in 2018 and its second version in 2022 by WiSTA International, along with ISWAN and Anglo-Eastern. So she is the recipient of Sandvik Gender Award for her outstanding contribution and commitment to gender equality. She has been awarded Woman of the Year 2019 by Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, and earlier she has been invited to be part of a high-level panel initiative by the Norwegian Prime Minister for a sustainable ocean economy. And she is a gender expert impaneled by the UNESCAP and IMO and is committed to driving change for a more inclusive maritime industry. In December 2023, she was nominated by the Government of India for the IMO Gender Equality Award for which she received a letter of commendation from the Secretary General IMO for the valuable work she has been doing for the maritime sector. Ma'am, welcome aboard. So we have here our panelists and the moderator. And I hand over the stage, the dais and the discussion to the moderator. The topic of panel discussion 2, Life of Women in Maritime. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to thank Dr. Malini Shankar What a lot of you don't know here is that she's a wonderful mentor. Was the reason that she encouraged me to apply for the Sandvik Gender Award, and I'm most thankful to her for her encouragement and support. She's truly one of the most leading women in maritime, and ma'am, thank you for organizing this wonderful forum and having us here. So it's with great pleasure and enthusiasm that we acknowledge the invaluable contributions of women in the maritime industry. We all know that the maritime sector, it's a realm traditionally dominated by men, but witnessing transformation as women increasingly make their mark and excel in diverse roles across this dynamic industry. We all know that women bring a wealth of expertise, innovation, and leadership to the table. Recently, we discovered that what traditionally people always say, that in shipping, to be in shipping, you need to have a strong back, but actually you need to have a strong mind. And I know that all the panelists are testaments to the fact. So as we reflect on this historical context of women's empowerment in maritime and the progress it has achieved, it is evident that empowering women in this field is not only the right thing to do, but the smart thing to do. There is a business case for diversity, for having more women in the maritime sector. And I think companies are slowly waking up to the fact that having women in maritime creates a diverse environment. It helps bottom lines. So there's no more reason to have a maritime industry that's only male dominated. The maritime industry truly values and cherishes a diverse workforce. And today our conversation is going to touch upon the women in maritime, some of the very accomplished women in maritime that we have here today. So while we applaud all the women who are here today, the panelists, I'd like to start with my first question. I'd like to start with Captain Radhika. What made you choose this career, and please share the story of your journey.
Good afternoon to all. What made me choose this career? Whatever I am today is the fruit of the passion I have towards the sea and my willingness to take or tread a different path. So I did not start this to prove that girls can do this or break the glass ceiling or anything like that. I was wanting to do something different. So that is how I joined Merchant Navy in 1991 as a radio officer. And after my entire journey from the radio officer to the master has not been very smooth because being the first one, there were a lot of issues that I had to face, which I do not want to share and expand my time also. What I understand is, if every woman is empowered in her mind, if she decides to do something what she wants to do, and if she pursues it with passion, she will end up with a lot of accomplishment. And of course, there are the success stories are the motivators to the newcomer. So I converted from radio officer to deck officer and rose up in rank and took command in 2012, and after on 2015, around 2015 I carried out a rescue for which I was awarded IMO award for exceptional bravery at sea, because the rescue was single-handedly carried out by me and my team, and without any RCC or any other external agency. And what I have learned from that is, if you pursue something sincerely and if you can put in your 100% at it and not be a burden to others, there will be a lot of ups and downs because of the unacceptance or the ideas people have about women and all, but people are not blind to hard work and sincerity to a greater extent. So you come up in your ranks, you be a example for others, and you and all the experience I have gathered from my step 1 to the step last, I've been able to help people, help the girls resolve issues connecting to uh, women in seafaring, and that is what we all do at IWS. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika. And if time permits, I think I'd like you to share about the story of your rescue as well, because it's very fascinating. I know you've narrated it to me and to several others, but there are lots of young minds here who would be very impressionable. So we'll come back to that, but definitely we'd want to hear your narration of that incident. I'd now like to move on to Suniti. Suniti, please share with us your reason for choosing this career and your wonderful journey.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay, and good afternoon to all. Yeah, sharing about my, how I've joined, and I think this is something which has been asked me a number of times, and people think, there would be a very passionate story about it, but I'm sorry to say it is not. It just happened, and the thing is, I was preparing for the IIT exams in those days, and I think that was very normal for all the kids of that time, preparing either for the IIT or preparing for the medical exams. But unlike my classmates, girls' classmates, I was preparing for engineering, they were preparing for medical. And I got to know about this college, DMT in Calcutta, and I got selected there. Until that time, I had no clue that there is no girl in the college, and there used to be one senior, but I had no clue that it's mostly a boys' college. So during the campus interview, when me and my father reached there, all the parents are very surprised to see us, and they were just talking to each other. And finally, one gentleman actually found courage to come and talk to my father and tell him that it's a completely boys' college. Where are you sending your daughter? And to that, just to give you a background, my father was from Air Force, and when he came to know, he spontaneously responded forward. I have full confidence in my daughter. And then he came and told me, this is what it is. Are you okay? I said, yeah, Papa, I'm very, very much fine, and it will be a very exciting journey for me. And somehow I have 3 brothers, so I've been never treated like a girl, and I was like always with them and just like another boy. So it was not a challenge for me at all. But I can definitely see when I joined first time the college, all eyes were on me, and you could very well differentiate that having girls there was not a normal at all scene for anybody to see there. But I can definitely say that there were also few who encouraged and helped in the journey so far. And like Captain Radhika mentioned, it was not an easy journey, but I would definitely say it was a very good learning journey for me, and whatever I have learned from my sea life, I'm very thankful to that, and I think that has made me what I am today. And I can definitely say that this is something I still miss. I'm talking about the sailing, and I'm very proud seafarer that way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Suniti. You're indeed a trailblazer in the industry, and I'm sure all the young boys and girls sitting here are going to be very inspired by you. So I'd like to move on to Beena. If you can share your story with us, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer of this excellent conference and having me here. It's a good opportunity for me to speak in front of a lot of young minds, and I hope I would inspire them. Coming to my journey and choosing of this career in armed forces, I never knew about this since I joined my college. And I met one of my friend who was in uniform. He came on leave while undergoing the training in OTA Gaya. So before meeting him, I never knew that girls can also join armed forces, because it was because of lack of my awareness about this profession. Coming from the small town, I've studied in my state board, studied in my local regional language, not even an English medium school, or not even a CBSE or ICSE board. So I just got inspired by him, and I had no knowledge about it. So slowly I started searching about it on the internet, how we can join armed forces. So initially I was preparing for UPSC because I think I was good in academics, and so my parents also think the same. So I was also inclined towards preparing for the civil services. However, this guy made some impact on my mind that I thought I should do something different, because all my siblings, all my cousins, they are all doctors, engineers, businessmen. So I had some impression in my mind that I have to do something different in my family. And I'm the first one to join the armed forces, coming from totally the civil background. So that was my endeavor to join the armed forces, that I want to make an impression in my family and in my siblings and cousins that I have done something different than nobody has ever done in our family. So we had, and me and my family had a difference of opinion of me joining the armed forces, but I had this focus that I will not regret in my life. When I, searched about it, what all it requires to become an armed forces officer, I found myself at a very, low line wherein I need to improve a lot. So for that, I started working on myself. First of all, I started knowing what all it requires to be an officer in the armed forces, what all it requires. So I kept talking to him whenever my friend, whenever he was online or whenever he used to come on leave. So I used to get to know from him what all it requires, and I started searching for the entries. How can I join the armed forces? My endeavor was to join Army or the Air Force, but however, I landed up in the Navy as a Met officer. So I had to improve a lot. Coming from the Hindi medium language, Hindi medium schooling, I had to face a lot of struggle to convert myself at par with my colleagues in college and also in the armed forces. So I started working on myself, and I kept failing in all the written examination. So if I remember correctly, I failed 10 times in my written examination, and I could not pass even a single examination for the armed forces, single written examination. Though this was very challenging, as it was quite a mental pressure. I completed my graduation while giving the exams, and I had no job. So then also I was not demotivated. I thought I should try so that I do not live rest of my life in a regret when I see my juniors or my other colleagues in the armed forces, and when they come and tell me the story, what face I'll show myself that why I did not join, why I did not give it a try. So I kept trying for the examinations, and because of the difference of opinion I had in my family, I had to hide this thing that I am appearing for the service selection board interview, which I got a call after my graduation based on the graduation percentage. So I would request all the young mind, don't do this, don't learn this from me at least, that I had to hide this from my family because I don't wanted to fight that battle at that point of time, and I wanted to focus on my interview. So I appeared for my SSB in 2016 in Bangalore, and with the help and with the guidance I got from my friends and with the hard work, I could complete it, and I got recommended in the first attempt. So that was the milestone for myself, and I so wanted to show my family that I could get it, rather than telling them I want to prepare for it and I want to go in this field. Rather than telling them this, I really wanted to get recommended, get selected, and then I wanted to tell them that I have done it now. And now there is no going back. So this was my story for joining the armed forces. So that's all.
That was very inspiring. Thank you so much. And saving the best for last, Rupali, will you also share with us the story of your journey and how you started in this career and to where you are today?
Thank you, IMU, and good afternoon to all. The story is not that interesting because when I was in young age, that time there was no internet, no scope, and which was, I think, ignorance is a bliss. My parents are not aware about this marine industry or line, how it is. So there was no negative, positive. Only thing is that during my time, people were more interested in C++, Java, and going to US, and I feel that is very tough and competitive, which I will not crack. Even if I crack, I will not happy there because I am very much into roots. I like Indian setup, I like Indian food, I like on street having pani puri, and not that much neat and clean environment. So I was happy, and I don't want to be in that competitive zone at that time where people are struggling with CAD-CAM guru, this, that. So much pressure was there. In your family also there are stars. They are coming up with IIT, IIMs, and you are not even at par to them. So it was the first thing. And I was passionate about sea. When I was kid, I used to see ship is going and I could not see after a certain travel. Then I said, where she's going? And nobody used to answer me, hey, chup kar, what the nonsense. So nobody entertained me at that point of a time. Slowly I grown up. Then I kept plan B ready. So I did my BE mechanical. In case if I fail, so I should stand somewhere. So that was a plan B. Then I joined Mary Mumbai as a cadet. That time I was not that okay. I don't know how to wear pants, shirt, how to talk, how to behave. So Mary Mumbai groomed me, and then working ethics, how to present, and how professionally we should be going ahead. And that time they imparted so many things in us. Morning 6 o'clock you get up, you will be on your toes till night 10:30. In between 6-7 times you have to change your dress, uniform to this, that, yoga, and you are going to Indian Naval Dockyard for 1 year training, and there also you are with the workers, with the officers, and you are nowhere. So everyone will judging you. You are not allowed to use the lister, that car which is handling the material. You cannot sit on that. And then you are you feel comfortable sitting under the tree having a tea over there. So that was a good thing. And I started enjoying with the backbenchers and the boys and their comments, though I was not able to get what they mean to say, because most of the time boys conversate with the double meaning or bro code, and then you are the part to that joke, and most of the times they are making fun of you also. So that time there you cannot say ki it's a woman set or it is harassment or something. No, you also take it, okay. So now things have changed. Boys are also not that level of naughty. So things are quite changed. That's.
Thank you so much. You put it across in a very unique way and in a way that I could see that all the youngsters could understand. So we'll come back to Captain Radhika. Radhika, we all are eagerly waiting to hear about the rescue operation. Can you please narrate in your words and tell us about that?
Yeah, this was in the monsoons. As I had told you earlier, like whatever you study, you apply. And I was monitoring a depression of Kakinada for a longer time. So I knew that something is coming up, although the weather had not declared it as a storm. So I was coming down from Pajbaj to Vizag. So that we had actually opposite to the storm, and I was having a very tough time. The entire night, from the evening to the next day morning, it went on the bridge and raining, thundering and pitching heavily. The winds were about 60 to 70 knots and the wave height about 9 meters and more. So in the morning around 9:30 I altered the course towards, I was parking Paradip, I was about 150 odd miles off Paradip towards the coast. So I received a call from the office, said, fantastic action, Captain. And that's good, now you have her on your port quarter. So then I went down to freshen up. I told my second mate to keep a good watch, because in the tall waves it's very difficult to find small boats or any obstruction which we might hit unknowingly. So as I went down, he called me back. When I came up, I saw there was a small dark spot in the tall wave, which was about probably 1.5 miles from my on the starboard bow. So when I used a binocular, I saw a small boy and two, 3 people on the flush deck. That boat was a boat not meant out to go out at sea for fishing. It was a small boat which is normally used in sheltered waters. So that that did not give me much of a time to think what I should I call the office, inform people and all that. I didn't have that time because the weather was very bad, and keeping that both line of sight and taking action, I would miss it if I would lose the time. So I called my team members who were very supportive. I told them I will maneuver it around the boat and then I will pick up these guys and take care of you guys also. So as I told you in my earlier answer, that when you perform very well, just because you have actually practiced what you have learned, you earn the respect of the team members. So none of my crew members refused to go. They could also have got washed over by the waves. They said, okay, we will go. They went, I told them to put the pilot ladder. The first round I went around them. I passed the ropes. I didn't get them because as the ropes were passed to the boat and the ship were galloping very badly, and then cat-like broke. The second one I came around, I got 2 people. The third one I came around, I picked up the remaining 3 people. So when they came on board, I asked them from when they were missing and from where they were. Then it was very shocking to know that they were out at sea for 7 days without food, without water, and they were huddled up in small hatches which normally they use for preserving fish, and they were licking on the ice to survive because there is no water. That is when I got these guys. Then I told them, I gave them an opportunity to call home using satellite phone, and it was a very shocking and a very pleasant surprise also. They got very much in time to talk their funeral prayers, because in Andhra belt they have a belief if a fisherman doesn't return in 7 days, he is gone for good. So all these 7 houses had tents erected in front of the houses, and then their final funeral prayer was about to commence. So we told their people, these persons are alive, they couldn't believe it. We took their photos and exchanged. Then the ship staff was very good. They donated the clothes, they took very good care of them and all that. So things went, and then on around 27th we handed over these people to local MLA, and they were happily reunited with their family. So what I would like to go back a little on my college days. When I was doing my second mains, we have a subject called meteorology, about the weather and things like that. So being the only girl in the class, I cannot bunk the class because I have been caught easily. And then I don't normally do things like that. When I came for mate also, you have meteorology, the same thing. So there also I won't, but there I had a teacher, I kept much. One student, he would teach that student. So he was the one who used to tell me how to time the waves and when you will find the dead water and how quickly you should turn the ship. Otherwise, in this weather, which I told you, 60 to 70 knots gauge speed, and in terms of wave, yeah, my turning the ship would have resulted in a capsizing movement and a lot of damage to my own people, and I couldn't be successful in that rescue operation. So I am sharing this information because there are a lot of students eagerly listening to my story. The gist of the story is whatever is taught to you by your teachers in academy now, try to correlate how you can use it and how to apply it, and try to remember it. Little bit of sincerity to what you have learned, you will be able to apply it, and you won't have that fear when you are facing a situation like that. Okay, how will I do it? When you know what you have to do, you will definitely do it. That's all.
Thank you, Radhika. Every time I hear the story, I get goosebumps. And I hope all the students take back from what you have said right now. I'd like to now move on to Suniti. Suniti, you've had a successful career at sea, but now you're very successful even on shore. So can you tell us a little bit about that transition and something that the students can also take back about their entire career path?
Yes, sure. And thanks for asking, because this is, I think, a very interesting question for all the students. Just to bring, something from the past, from my college days, I also remember that many of my batchmates did not even go to the sea. So, what I can definitely relate that if someone wants to do something, they should definitely follow their heart. And they are pretty well successful now, though they have done their engineering from, as a marine engineer, but they have gone to different paths and they are doing pretty well that way also. And coming back to our, the normal seafarer success story, I think all those who have been in the college are also doing pretty well at shore. And I think that is the beauty of being engineer for sure, because somehow we get more options definitely in the shore careers. And this is something I can definitely relate to, that when we were sailing, the superintendent was something we have been, always imagined that, okay, whenever we will stop sailing, when we become chief engineer, after chief engineer, we will have to go to shore. And being woman, I always knew that I will have to go to shore. I will definitely, was planning to have family, having kids, and then shore job is something which not only for any, men counterpart, they also see that way, but it was very important for me to understand. And being, from the those first ones, it becomes difficult because you do not know how you have to do the things so that you can be there what you are dreaming now. So that way I'm very blessed that whatever I have planned in my career, I could achieve that. And having said that, I can definitely tell you that I have planned my career right from the beginning. So I knew when I should leave my sailing career and when I should move ashore. Though it was more guided for me, by my biological clock, that I need to switch ashore by the time I want to have kids, and I was very clear in my thoughts. I was very clear in mind that I need to go as a surveyor either to administration or to the register of shipping. And somehow I landed to the register of shipping, and I had a fantastic career there and a beautiful learning graph, and I could learn a lot there, which is still helping in my current career. talking about, the gender diversity there, all those careers I have been, at least in shipping, I could again find again and again that I'm alone. So the journey being alone started from the sea, and it actually it was still, something I'm finding wrong. Am I still audible and am I?
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so somehow I was finding that whatever I have, when we feel very strong for our career and our heart that we need to do in that way, so follow the heart. But yeah, I was talking about diversity. So I couldn't find, much of women there, and I always had a kind of, feeling getting missed. But at the same time, I was pretty used to of being alone in those right from the seafaring career, so I could very well survive. And I can say that my survival mantra was definitely being good at your job. So this has moved my career vertically pretty well. I also kept switching my companies, and right now, I mean, this is something which is I'm again following. I'm good in doing finding the problems and solving them. So that is something which I'm bringing and adding value to my current job as director of this, and it has been amazing journey so far. So just for the girls and all the IU students, there is nothing which I can see impossible. Follow your heart. If you have decided something, you need to bring that in yourself. Like I think this is something which is also mentioned, yeah, sorry. So this is something which we really need to, get our heart aligned, what we want to do. And once we have decided that this is what our path, we really need to work hard. So learning doesn't come easy way. We need to work hard for that. And whatever we have learned, like Captain Radhika mentioned, that if you have learned something, it doesn't go away, and you can always use those learnings towards the direction you want to move ahead. So follow your heart. Thanks.
That was beautiful. Follow your heart. It's a wonderful message for all the young people out here. So continuing on that note, I would like to ask Beena, what is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self? Because there's so many young people out here. What would be that one piece of advice?
Okay, if I see myself, the younger version of myself, I would like to give her advice to be involved myself, or I would like, the young people or the young minds to get involved more in the sports activities, because it gives you the spirit of team building and, inspiration, and how do you have to work in a group, and because that's how we grow all together, which actually I resisted myself in my childhood. So, which eventually I have learned, but that's a good learning and a good opportunity from the beginning. If you are involved in the sports activities, your mind is vibrant and your brain is working all time, and that's how you grow all together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Rupali, what about you? What is the one piece of advice you would like to give your younger self?
If I tell one story, will that be okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we will not talk big things like motivation, inspiration, focus, this, that, everything you will get on any YouTube motivational talk. Okay, so today I will give you one story. Storytelling is in our blood. We listen from childhood, whatever it is for Rama, Krishna, even our God, we cannot expel from that. So story, which is one thing which gives the right message and which stays with us for a long. Okay, so this story goes, in a village there are two washermen who cleans the clothes. Both of them, let's name them Ramu and Shamu, and they have a donkey. Let's say Ramu has one donkey, Shamu also has one donkey. Over a period, the workload increases. Now this Shamu appointed 2 more donkeys. So this Shamu is a professional. He has got 3 donkeys. He is giving the work 3 trips from river to his house for 3 donkeys, so 9 trips a day. But this Ramu, he's a fellow who is not that professional, okay? So he has only one donkey and he is pushing his donkey to work all the 9 trips. And after 2-3 months, this donkey who is with the Ramu become pale, weak, still he is doing his job. Then this Shamu's donkey, 3 of them, catch hold of this donkey and say, what you are doing? You leave this fellow and join us. This Shamu is feeding us. He is giving us Saturday, Sunday off. We just 3 of us and we can reschedule our duties among ourselves. So this is very professional. You should not stick on to this Ramu. And moreover, he abuses you after doing so much. He is not quite happy with you. Still this fellow didn't budge. He said, don't interfere. It's my personal thing and I will continue with this Ramu. Okay, after 1 week, these friends of this old donkey, 3, they are feeling very bad about our fellow mate, why he is becoming pale and there is no point in putting so much hard work, even that donkey knows. Then they said, okay, today we will not leave him. So one Sunday afternoon, they catch hold of this donkey and ask. He said, okay, now I have to reveal the myth. My owner, Ramu, has a daughter. She is in the 10th class. In unit test, she already failed in 3 subjects. Now, I don't have any high hopes that she will pass in the final exam. Then other donkey said, what is the thing? What you need to do with her passing and failing? He said, Ramu told, if she fails, then he will marry her to me. That's why I'm doing all these things. Got the point? Means this donkey is hoping that he will get married to Ramu's daughter. Okay? So in our life, we are playing these 5 characters, some or the other time. We may fail in 10th class, we may girl, we may Ramu, we have a beautiful daughter and people are working for me. Or I am a Shamu, I have 2-3 donkeys to take care of my things and I am professional. So the thing is, whenever you have a choices in your life, so think is as a third person. Am I doing it right or wrong? If I am willing to do it, how far I will go it? It should not be that someone motivate me or someone push me or I have some need to do this. It won't last for a long. It will go away. If you are with your willingness and interest, if you do, even if hurdle comes, you will get over it. And you will get the people to pull you. It's so easy, but your willingness should be there. So my thing is, sailing is the best professional. Still I feel seasick. See, once you are sure, you feel you have to go back to sea. Once you are at home, you feel homesick. But I think after 3 years, if you sail on board, you never feel homesick. Whatever people are saying for sign off or for some other reason is a different issue. But sailor mostly are comfortable while sailing. They are quite comfortable doing their job. And some are, let's say 5%, 3%, some issues, stress issues, anxiety issues, accident. But they are very less in the marine professions. That's what I have seen. Once I come ashore, then I come to know the percentage, how much people are struggling, what all difficulties they are facing. Then I found sailing is the one of the best career if you discipline yourself up to certain extent. So it is a best career. Don't give up on small issues. If your big issue is there, then it's okay. You have a choice and you have a right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupali. So my final question to all of you, Captain Radhika, are you still there? Okay, yeah. So what do you think needs to be done to encourage more women in maritime? I know you're doing a lot of work for supporting women in maritime. So can you just name one thing that you think needs to be done to encourage more women?
Yeah, what I can speak of the scenario right now. Right now, there is all the awareness that we are giving through various organizations and all that. The number of women coming forward to take up sea career is really improved to a greater extent. What we need to do is, with every company is asking for women employer to employ women. I have said with a lot of ladies, I feel you should not compromise on the competence. You should, the women should be aware of.
Radhika, we lost you.
And the right, they should be ready to accept the work. What I have seen about, I can say about 25%, what we have got in this drive, the girls, they are not willing to perform. Few of them are not willing to perform. They have a different idea about the work scope, and few of them drop out like that. So that is one thing. So increasing, when you create a drive, you get a lot of inquisitive heads. And when you take them into the institution and when they come to the company, that point, those points you have to put the filters so that you get the good ones. And the good ones will never leave. Okay, the good ones will stay. They are not just here because it's a new profession or I can roam around the world like that. They will be. That is the first thing we have to do. We have to increase the number of women, but we have to increase them in such a quantitative way that the quality remains, the competence remains. That is one. Secondly, you have to have a good framework, how to protect them from troubles coming from putting two genders together. So that I think all the contracting governments of IMO can come together. Or India is a good example. We have Sanjam, you are also aware, like we have a system of resolving issues and all that. So slowly, we have to improve upon that. The girl should not feel let down. If one deserving candidate has to pull out of seat just because she didn't get justice, that will send out enough message across other women, and that will be a demotivator. So that addressing the issues that arise by putting two genders together in a socially isolated atmosphere, we should have policies and we should have practices in place to avoid such things. And then for retention, I think our DB circular has a lot of which has come out, conducive work atmosphere for women on board has got the guidelines. So companies should be sticking on to the guidelines, and that's it. When you choose a candidate, the right candidate has to come. While out at sea, nobody can do anybody else's job. Okay, a girl who will not perform will be a burden to somebody. She will be a weak link and she will be a burden to others. So that the girls, whoever are listening to me, please prepare yourself in such a way that you are the strong link of a chain and not a weak link of a chain. Thank you.
That was a beautiful message, and I think all the girls should take it seriously. Be the strong link in the chain. And moving on to Suniti, do you want to add to what Radhika has said?
Yes, sure, Sanjay. In fact, I usually go by data, and if you go by data, then still women, they are not making the big part of the maritime industry, whether we talk about shore or we talk about on board. And if we talk about on board, the data is still the global data is 1%. So there is a lot to do for sure. But at the same time, I totally agree with Captain Radhika that right now it's a wave where girls are getting the jobs. We have seen the wave where no one was getting the job. So this is a beautiful wave. I mean, we need to capture the wave here. And at the same time, we need to sustain the wave because at least if you ask me, I don't want this wave to go away. So we need to keep the time in a way that everyone is happy and there is no switching back to simple harming immersion where there is no one is ready to hire the woman, and then competence definitely comes in a picture. And that way, I would definitely like to talk about the IWSF ideology. We believe in gender neutrality. So it's not about gender. We need competent people. We need we should not be hiring people just based on the gender, whether it is pro-woman or pro-men. Both are wrong. We should be hiring based on the competence. And that competence should be built definitely. The very foundation comes from the academy and colleges, we trust in. And also the students who are, the cadets who are studying there. So my humble, message to all the cadets, here or everywhere, that please, like I was saying, follow the heart. If you have decided to pursue this career, put your 100% in and become that person, like Captain Radhika mentioned, the strong link, and especially to the girls. We have seen, we had to prove, double or triple, compared to our counterparts. But today is not the scenario. We have to prove just equal. So we need to take that moment in this time that we have to perform what we are expected out of, not more, not less. So let's be there. And if I come back to the data, we definitely need more and more awareness, and for that we need to definitely go to the schools and have the more awareness and bringing the reality what we are facing today. Because if we give them something really dreamy, it can bring them, but it will not let them sustain here. So sustenance, I think, is very important for all diversity if we try to focus there. But focus should definitely be on competence and gender neutrality. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Suniti. Moving on to Beena, do you want to share your thoughts on what needs to be done to encourage more women?
Ma'am, coming to the Indian Navy, as our topic is maritime, so first thing I would like to highlight that Navy never consider a woman officer or male officer. It is always a naval officer, even in the other sister services. So this itself is the biggest motivation that you are not considered as a female counterpart or male counterpart, which you ultimately you need not to take unnecessary burden on your mind that you have to prove yourself as a woman officer in any of the armed forces. Because what I would suggest to the female counterparts or female candidates, if they are willing to join armed forces, that you do not take this as a challenge that you have to prove yourself at par your male counterparts. You keep doing your work, you focus more on your work and give your 100%. It will automatically be proven that you are at par with your male counterparts. So you should not take that unnecessary burden or unnecessary mental pressure on yourself that you have to prove yourself. Coming to the opportunities to join armed forces or particularly Indian Navy, at the grassroots level, we are actually giving motivation lectures to the schools. We are going to the schools and motivating the young minds and making them aware about Indian Navy. And in the colleges also, there are university entry scheme wherein we are directly taking the interviews. Now NDA is open for girls, Scenic schools are open for girls, and I'm sure the Naval Academy, the 4 years courses for the women participants or the women candidates will surely be open. And inside the Navy also, we are getting the equal opportunities, equal professional courses as our male counterparts. So we need not to be worried about it that we have to do something extra to encourage women. It has already been done. And you need not to think that you have to prove yourself. You are already at par. So that is my suggestion for the female participants and the female candidates. And of course, it takes something extra to be an armed forces officer. And I'm sure every student and every male or female candidate has this caliber. Everybody has their own skills and own capabilities, which makes them unique in their own way. So that's how there is no set of rules wherein we select officer. You have to be yourself, and we just look forward the trainable mind, and wherein you can give your 100%. So that's the best thing in the armed forces, wherein we motivate and we invite all the young minds to join the forces.
Thank you, Beena. Coming to you, Rupali, would you like to share your thoughts? What do you think needs to be done to encourage more women in maritime?
Now we will see the total scenario of the industry at present. We are in a fifth generation of industrial revolution where your efficiency will not be counted. How much your machine is giving output, whether it is 100% or 80% or you are giving more tricks to it. But now it is that key, it should be sustainable. So our carbon footprints we have to check and net zero we have to achieve. So altogether your full setup is going to change. There is a robotics, there is a AI, syllabus is also changing. So we have to train whomsoever it is, whether it is a girl or a boy. It is not remain that we will only train the boys because the same pattern is going on. You have to put lot of efforts. Now the hydraulic jacks are there. Girls also can easily do the overall. More automation is there. So there are sensory systems. So we'll get to know when this machine is going to be get kaput. It's not that so sudden. So preventive maintenance can be done at shore. So many changes in the last 10 years have had happened. Next 10 years are more crucial. Those who have a mind to adapt the change, what is there in automation, how the PLC work, what needs to be done. So you are physically fit, mentally also fit, and you are ready to switch over. Whatever new technologies, rules comes, I am ready to adapt it because more and more regulations will come. This new technology comes, new fuel comes, their risk assessment, their technicality, their legality, and it is not, if it is not economically viable, Merchant Navy is all about economically viable solutions. So you will be at the stake. So better to understand what industry exactly required and how much best you can give it to it. It's not for a girl or a boy. Girls are more good in WhatsApp message, chit-chatting, talking, doing programming, thinking out of the box like who does what she or he might have thought about me, whether they never thought about that thing also. So all these skills are required now. If this thing particular goes wrong, what are the checks I should be do or what my programming should have there in place. So now the things are, girls will be more adaptable for those jobs. Once the autonomous ships are running and we are sitting at the shore and running full show. But for that first you have to put initial efforts. You should see the ship. What is the sensors, where they are placed, how they are working, and what decision you take prior something goes wrong. So the thing is, scenario is changing. So girls have tremendous opportunity if they are willing to do. And switching over to ship and shore, in future it won't be a major task because those who have sailed for even shorter duration, they will easily get adopted shore.
Thank you, Pali. So we'll now open the floor for questions. And I'm hoping that you will, the young people will avail of the opportunity. You have this wonderful panel here. So who would like to ask the first question? Yes, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Soumya from Center for Ocean Research, Satyabama University. And my question is directed to Lieutenant Colonel Beena ma'am. So I just wanted to know, even in the morning when we had a panel discussion one, most of the ladies, they were saying their family is the biggest source of support for them. So every story has a flip side too, right? So there are people whose family are not supportive of the decisions that they make. And Beena ma'am also mentioned that she didn't want to choose that battle. She had the privilege of choosing which battle she wanted to, face at one particular time. But there are people, a lot of women, who don't have that privilege. What is your advice to those kind of people? How do they, be resilient and, handle these kind of pressures when they start a career in science or maritime or engineering?
I think that is a very interesting question and I can totally relate with you, whatever I faced in my life. So when I decided that I want to join armed forces, so first of all I started telling my parents that I want to join armed forces, which I wouldn't say that was their problem because they did not get such kind of exposure, because from our community generally very less people join the armed forces. So I won't blame them that they don't know about the armed forces because they have lived in a village. So coming to me, I decided to join armed forces, and I wanted to do it because I do not want it to regret in my life. Because that is my mantra, that I have got one life and I just cannot live that life in a regret. What face I'll show to myself, and how will I respect myself if if I have to give up? Why I have to give up? I've got a life, I have got the talent. Why not to prove myself in my own eyes? I'm not proving myself in somebody else's eyes. I want to prove myself in my own eyes, and I want to respect myself in my own eyes. So the kind of pressure I literally had, so I was studying in Indore in my college. So I used to go to my family in my college break, the semester break. So whenever I used to go to my family in my midterm break, I had to fight with them, or I had to face that difference of opinion with them. But I kept myself focused on my career. I thought I will do it by hook or by crook. I had to improve myself a lot. So I thought I'll do it first and then I will tell them. So I'll tell the later part of the story, which I did not mention in my first question because of the paucity of time. I told my parents that I was working in an IT firm. That I told them that I'm going to Bangalore for my job training for a week, and it might extend for a next week because the next week is related to the medicals part after you get recommended in the armed forces. So luckily I got selected in the first attempt, and I had to call my parents and I had to tell my father that I got selected in the Indian Navy, and I lied to you because I don't wanted to distract myself from that time. So we have this one procedure of police verification. So I needed to address from my hometown, and that was the first time I told my father that I've got selected, and I am going through the medicals, which will take 1 more week. And I also told my father that please do not tell my mother regarding this. I'll come and tell by myself. So I had to choose this thing first at a time, because if I am distracted, that I will not be able to focus on my interview. And while having the background of failing so many times in the written examination, it was already a mental pressure. So I decided to handle one pressure at a time. So my advice is, you do whatever you want to do in your life, in your career, be it personal life, be it professional life, and the further professional courses. So you have to fight battle one at a time. So that's how you can, and the more important thing is your focus. If you focus yourself on your one particular task, you will automatically, you will never get that bad energy in yourself. You will never find yourself down at that particular point of time, or that point of time wherein you have to give your 100% to your profession or your career. So you choose your battle, which battle you have to fight first, and then later on, subsequently, when you achieve something, your parents will automatically be proud. So whenever they see me in a uniform, or whenever they visit me in a military station, so I'm sure they will be proud, and they are proud of myself, though we still have some difference of opinion, but they are okay with this. So the important battle is you have to get into your career, and these battle will keep going. This is life. You will find such battles, many more battles in your life, and that's how life goes on, and that makes your life interesting also.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing this.
Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am, and all galaxy of intellectuals present here. I Cadet Sangam from HIMT, and ma'am, my question is directly to ma'am Beena, Lieutenant Commander. Ma'am, my sister is so much interested to join NDA, especially for Indian Navy. So, serving as a most important service to the nation, integrity of our nation, and so we can be safe here. My question is that I want your honest reaction, that what are the remarkable reviews and your journey, so that can define the suitability for the women community. And what is your honest, so becoming a woman officer in the armed forces is a very respectful achievement, but survival as a officer, most of the people say that it's a very difficult to survive as a woman officer. So what is your honest reaction?
Okay, that's a very relevant question and that we actually face in our life when we join the armed forces. So the first challenge start when you join the academy. So if I was totally into the civil, I never ran before I joined the academy. So the starting, so the challenges which I used to face in my academy time, that there's a lot of running, lot of physical activity which I never gone through. So that I really faced a little difficulty. But then you should have that mindset that I need not to give up, or I do not have to give up on this particular thing, because armed forces did not come to my house to pick me up. I have chosen this service, and whatever it requires, I have to give it. You cannot be at par when it comes to a physical strength. You cannot be at par as a male counterparts, but also you need not to give up. You improve yourself slowly and slowly, and whatever the mindset the instructor have, they will just see that are you giving up. They will only see your mind, that are you willing to take this thing forward, or you are just giving up on the same day. So they will see if you have this willpower, you have this willpower to take this, you improve slowly. Nobody will pull you out, or nobody will throw you out from the service, even if you are not at par as your male counterparts. So being a girl, we face differences, or we face difficulty in the initial days, but if you have this willpower to take it, and whatever the service is asking, whatever the service is demanding, you have to give, because you have chosen this career, and you cannot just let
Sangam.
Yes. I think every household in India needs a Sangam, somebody who's thinking about his sister's career. So be the Sangam to your sister, to your mother. Thank you, Sangam.
Yeah, ma'am, it would be a great motivating for my sister and other women community also. Thank you, ma'am.
Before it closes, I want to say, just data-wise, the admissions into Indian Maritime University, if you look at the data in the last 5 years, the admission of women has gone from 2% to 9%. So that's and if we especially look at, interestingly, if you look at the School of Naval Architecture and Ocean Engineering, we have 23% women, which is a pleasant surprise. And we opened up a second batch, and even that was filled, and again it's 23%. So I think, and Sanjam, if I can just add to your last question, I can respond to your last question on how to encourage women. My, the sentiments. I think number one is they're worried about placement, okay, and they should understand, the employers should understand that the women who come into this profession come with a certain passion. So you're losing out on somebody if you don't take them. That is, it's probably true of men, but much more true of women, because like Beena, they've all had to probably fight family and friends to get in. So that is something that I thought I would say. And as far as encouraging women, this is what I wanted to share, that it is increasing. And the government of India is actually in the final stages of contemplating award of scholarships to women who join the Indian Maritime University. So, yes.
Fantastic. It was a great panel, and you've been a great audience as well. So, in conclusion, I'd like to say that it has to be the right person for the right job rather than the right man for the job. So, thank you all. It was a pleasure, and thank you to my panelists. Thank you, Suniti. Thank you, Captain Radhika, for joining us virtually.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good
So this
afternoon,
has been,
ma'am.
excuse me?
A single question. Good afternoon, ma'am. It's an honor to see you on the dais. I want to ask a single question, as there are 1.2% seafarers are there in a merchant navy, but the question comes when the women are going on board. Sometimes when a woman command, the mentality of the society is that
why should we hear that it is a woman, she is weaker than us? It sometimes happens. Do you feel this that issue on the board as you are captain, chief engineers? So how you deal with this situation on board?
This thing comes, this thing's always there because Madam rightly said there is a tug master who was shouting, screaming and rude, pathetic. So person are there, why they are shouting? Because in engine room too much noise is there. And so and second thing, they are not rude because there is always gender equality. Because when I was a cadet, second engineer, third engineer, my chief engineer never treated as me a female. Okay, so the thing is that that mindset is not there. So you have to work because they need a working hand. They want to complete the job. Show must run. If certain days, if they don't listen to you, you have to go back and think why they are doing this. Sometimes you may be wrong because every time you cannot be right. But normally on ships, I have seen they take your command. Your pitch also increase because you also had experience. You also got shouting. So it's your time to return them. But it's up to individual. In each and every time you want to go back and fight with, or you take it lightly. So if someone want, they are not the one who will judge you. Your decision and overall your conduct, always you earn the respect. And whether it is a master or chief engineer, once you come from the down line, no, you go on down to the bilges, you clean and you know down to tunnel to funnel, how it says. If you know each and everything, no one will rarely dare because 6 months you have to stay together. Huh? It is a thing that 6 months nobody wants to take panga. And they said, अरे है तो छोड़ो भाई, है तो है, अभी बॉस है तो क्या करे, घर में भी डांटती है, इधर ये डांट रही है. So that way they take it. So I don't think so much thing will come up. So and boys are, it's okay if they come to know that you are there for work, then they will also appreciate. They will do their job. You don't interfere with them. Same time, you don't allow them to interfere with your matters. So it's only situational basis. If someone is good, you be good. If someone is naughty, then you should have your own tricks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
That was a very interesting close today. A very interesting panel discussion we had here. So I must say there has been an array of thoughts coming in from accomplished people from different fields today, which has, at least it should have struck, some spark in you, I hope, and you will carry away some impressions. But before that, I would like to felicitate all the panelists here and the panelists who have joined us online also. We have felicitations, and may I request Madam VC to kindly felicitate the speakers. Our moderator, Ms. Sanjam Gupta. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Commander Veena. So much inspiration. Ms. Rupali Joshi. She brought in a lot of humor to a very weighty subject. Thank you so much. So thank you, panelists. Thank you very much, please. At this point of time, since we have had so many women, empowered women speak to us on variety of their experiences, here is a shout out to all the men who have been supporting us professionally and at home. So a big round of applause to all the men here, please. And as pointed out by many of our speakers, the strength lies in your mind and the willpower to go forward. There is no basic gender inequality as it is. And on that note, let's move forward to the end of the session. I request the panelists to kindly be seated. May I call upon Dr. Bhuvneshwari, Deputy Registrar, IMU Chennai Campus, to deliver the vote of thanks to this event.
Yes, Lekha, Dr. Lekha. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So on behalf of IMU, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who joined us today for the conference on WiSTEMM 2024, Women in Science, Technology, Engineering and Technology, Maths and Maritime. First and foremost, I thank our chief guest, Madam Michaela Kuschler, German Consul General, Chennai, who graced the occasion with her presence and shared inspiring experiences and valuable information to the August gathering. Your strength, resilience, and determination continue to empower all. I also would like to express my gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Malini V. Shankar, whose brain is the pivot role to make this conference to happen on right time with right members of the women fraternity. I thank Madam for her tireless support and continuous encouragement ideas to bring the conference to a good shape. Thank you, Madam. I also thank our Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Raju Balaji, who is always render support and encourages towards academic as well as administrative concepts. Thank you, sir, for making this conference successful. I thank Registrar, Administrative Head, who leads the team in right path, and I also extend my thanks to COE, Finance Officer, for making this event a grand success. Coming to the panel members, a special thank you all to all the remarkable panel members, Dr. Purnima Jalihal, Scientist G, NIOT, Dr. K.G. Srija Lakshmi, Professor at Indian Institute of Space Science Technology, and Dr. Manju S. Nair, Project Head, High Thrust Electric Propulsion, Liquid Propulsion System, ISRO, and next, Madam Madhura Das Gupta Sinha, Founder and CEO of Aspire for her. And I thank Captain Radhika Menon, India's first female merchant navy captain, recipient of IMO Award for exceptional bravery at sea and co-founder of IWSF. And Ms. Suniti Bala, first woman chief engineer and co-founder of the International Women Seafarers Foundation. And next, Madam Rupali Joshi, Head of Marine Engineering Division, New Mangalore Port. And also Lieutenant Commander Beena Jain, Indian Navy, and for sharing your valuable knowledge and precious time with us. I thank you one and all, panel members, and also the moderators. Madam Aarti Narayanan, FICS Vice Chairman and Education Officer, ICS Brokers, and Madam Sanjam Gupta, Founder of the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, who have graced us with your presence and shared your inspiring stories and experiences with us. Really, it was motivating us. And I also thank our Deputy Registrar, VC Secretariat, Mr. Sini Manchala, who was from the inception day one for this conference to get it materialized. So put a grand applause. So I thank all the student participants from Satyabama University, HIMT, and Amit to make this conference here bright one. And I also thank the various sponsors from the Synergy, HIMT and Seven Islands. I thank you very much for your wonderful sponsors. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the organizing committee and volunteers who have worked tirelessly behind the conference to make this event a success. Students and officers and staff members, I thank you one and all. Let us carry the spirit of this conference to continue, strive to explore the challenges and opportunities to showcase the talents in a different platform. And I thank you very much, one and all, for making this conference a wonderful one, and we'll move ahead in the subsequent years also. Thank you, one and all. So I request Dr. Lekha to announce for the food arrangements. Thank you.
So that comes to a close, and that's been a wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am, for making this happen. Thank you all. So next we move on to another important event, that is lunch. And the guests will move this way. The lunch for the student participants from other college, please move this way. The lunch has been arranged. IMU cadets will have lunch at their respective places. I hope that's clear. Thank you very much, one and all. Good evening.